sounding right.
I've never seen Euphoria because I'm not a pedophile.
Amazing. Dude, my favorite thing is that one of the girls who's
Purvis's fucking face.
There's no way.
it was so good. It was so good. Dude, one of my favorite.
Please tell me we're recording.
We are recording. We are recording. Oh my! I saw this thing about Euphoria that blew my mind, and it's like one of the girls on there was like a porn star before.
Yeah. That was in that happened with Game of Thrones too.
Yeah.
One of the actresses.
That I would believe it.
And she said shooting for Euphoria was far more degrading and bad for her mental health than
That
doing
doesn't surprise me.
than doing pornography. And I'm like,
Sheesh.
yeah, like
I remember seeing that. That was like what, like 2 years ago or something.
yeah, I remember just seeing it like on a like on a social media like Instagram story thing. Oh, welcome to the show. We're talking about mental health issues and Euphoria, pornography.
It's the dab.
all the things that get you demonetized.
Yeah. Well, if I
Don't
want,
you have to wait 30 seconds for the YouTube video to like actually start cursing?
It's for swearing,
Yeah.
but other content is fair game, I think.
Good old YouTube. Love that.
if I wanted to see Zendaya do drugs, I would go to Tom Holland's house when he's not there.
Oh,
I believe it.
too real again.
Oh my god.
That was good.
How is everybody? How's everyone's week going? Oh,
Life is good. I can't complain. We're here. We got Yeet tomorrow.
yeah, you
That's
guys are
weird.
going to see Yeet.
Yes,
Your guys' favorite
we're-
four-letter word.
we're going to get Yote.
How do you feel, Jasper? What are your expectations?
Yeah, tell me how you guys are feeling.
I have 3 words.
Do you
for
think
you.
anyone's going to come out? Oh, what are the 3
I have
words?
3 words for you. Real Twizzy shit.
Okay.
Okay.
I respect it. It's
Moving
going to be
on.
fun.
Oh my god.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
I'm certain.
This is the closest thing I'm going to have to play with Cardi.
I'm certain it's
Okay.
going to be fun. Like, honestly, I'm not going to lie to you guys. Like, earlier this week, I was like, how much is the ticket? But I was like, nah, I'm just going to take my girl out to eat instead. Like,
You don't want to come out and rage.
Responsible boyfriend.
I kind of want to be honest, but
When was the last time you actually been in a mosh pit? Like, come on. You got
last year, Riot Fest.
Was it? Oh,
Against
no.
my will.
I forgot about.
Yeah, but
It's even worse.
Like I say, at a Yeet concert, think of all the high schoolers you get to
yeah,
crush.
oh my god. I would like to punch some high
Run people
schoolers
over.
every once in a while. Yeah. No, the
All
last
the
time
suburban high schoolers.
The last time I was in a mosh pit was My Chemical Romance, which was guys. I have been in every kind of mosh pit. I've seen Metallica live. I've been to like hardcore shows. Seen it all. My Chemical Romance was by far the rowdiest.
Yeah.
Holy
Really?
shit! Oh
Yeah,
my
no
God.
doubt, dude.
Why?
It was like because it was their fucking reunion
It was
at
their
Riot
reunion.
Fest.
Yeah, it was
after like 11 years of not touring.
This was-
Oh,
this-
this is what Julian was talking about. Okay.
yeah, it was insanity. I remember seeing pictures from other people, and people
Yeah,
were like,
no,
getting
it was
fucked
great.
up
My Chem like stepped off stage like 9 times, like refusing to perform
Yeah,
because it was so
to calm
dangerous.
people down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And the
Was
last
this
time,
the one that
It
had
was-
like the 3 stages? It was that big or
yeah,
something?
yeah,
it was the summer of last year.
they connected 2 stages. Yeah, it was that big.
or September. It was September
Jesus
16th.
Christ.
I remember because it was the day we saw Cuddy.
Yeah, then I couldn't go to Cuddy because I was seeing My Chem because my girl bought me a ticket. But I
I'll
got
take
to
it,
see
Cuddy.
Action Bronson the day after, so that was cool.
Nice.
That
And
actually
that
is
show
very cool.
was fucking fantastic. Like,
The Action Bronson one?
no, My Chemical Romance.
Okay.
Jasper actually probably has like to this day like one of the best takes on the show because he compared seeing My Chem to seeing like Outcast. Like you just have to.
Yeah.
Like they're that level.
I was listening to DJ yesterday at work, and it put on songs from Black Parade, and I was at my desk like
Yeah.
fucking just going hard.
I believe it or not, I'm just not a huge fan. I
Really?
think, yeah, I think they're great artists like on a critical level, but just like I wasn't into them as a kid. They were far too theatrical for me. I was like, they were really big like when I was like in my metal like period, like System of a Down, Lamb of God, Rage
Yeah.
Against the Machine, Limp Bizkit. I was annoying.
I don't know what anything you just said. I don't know what anything you just said.
You know
was.
Rage Against the Machine. You have to.
I will give you that. I do know that. But the rest of them, nothing.
Not yet.
The song that
yet.
came on that I was bopping to was "This Is How I Disappear." which
Oh yeah,
is
that's a good one. Yeah.
a banger.
Is Teenagers on Black Parade?
Teenagers, yes, it is.
I think Teenagers is a wild song. It
I'm
also,
pretty sure that's the most popular song, actually.
yeah, besides probably
Yeah, it is.
Black Parade. Is it more
No,
popular?
it's above it in terms of streams on Spotify.
That's interesting.
Teenagers at 716 million, and
Yeah.
Welcome to the Black Parade is 627.
Yeah. You know what's crazy? Just
Go on.
wow, just like our last little intro rant before we get in. This is a Vibecast. Everyone's
As you can tell,
yeah, everyone's
there's no order.
Yeah.
Sorry to disappoint.
Yeah, but I was looking up today, and it's kind of crazy how much market share advantage Spotify has, but also how little of streaming they actually represent. So like I was like
of like everything.
yeah, because like they only like when you look at Spotify streams, that's only 30%. But the thing is, like the next biggest company is like 12 or 13, and it's Apple Music and then Tencent, which I don't think is very big here.
Tencent's a Chinese. Yeah,
I know they're a Chinese company, but I've never heard anyone be like, send me the playlist on Tencent Music.
Yeah, I mean, in the U.S., their presence is basically just like rolling out development for like phone games because they're a conglomerate, so they make everything.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I thought that was interesting because it's like, you know, and then you think about like, okay, Spotify's a brand. What kind of people use Spotify versus who goes for the Amazon Prime, who goes for the Apple Music? You know what I mean? So I was just thinking about like Spotify streaming numbers and like what do they actually represent? Like,
I mean, it's an interesting perspective. Just like before we actually jump into
like
our topics,
because we
and
do
things
have
like
news. We don't really have topics.
Right.
We have like news. Like
I was gonna say, like going off of that, I'm looking for the Instagram post right now, but there is so a new study reveals that there are 38 million tracks on the streaming platform for Spotify that received 0 plays last year.
Yeah, that checks out.
damn, we have never had a podcast get 0 listens.
Undefeated, baby. Let's go.
We have never.
We can only go up from here.
Yeah, like
There's only one direction to go.
But yeah, as you can tell, whoever is still listening through all the mess there, this is a podcast.
Yeah, we're just gonna.
There's no rules to what's going on. We normally have some kind of structure, and it's just kind of whatever. Well, I'll jump into the news because there's actually a ton of news, which works out.
Yeah.
But starting off with the albums, we have Black Thought and El Michael's Affair coming out with Glorious Games. We have Pierre Bourne coming out with the Grell EP. And then I believe yesterday came out, Party Next Door came out with Party Mobile, Chopped Not Slopped. If I'm being honest, none of these are like super huge releases in my opinion, but I am very curious to get your all opinion because I don't know if we actually discussed this because this is a whole like subgenre of hip hop here.
Oh, Chopped and Screwed.
Do you guys listen to Chopped and Screwed?
All the time. I love Chopped and Screwed. I listened to Chopped and Screwed for years, and then I found Vaporwave.
I was literally about to say lo-fi is like the replacement for me.
I feel yeah. Like, did you guys see the
Jasper?
Lo-Fi Girl thing this week?
What?
Oh,
wait,
hold on, wait,
what?
Who am I? Who am I answering? Who am I addressing?
No, we'll get back. Well, I'll bring up the Lo-Fi Girl thing later.
Okay. I was about to say, what's going on? Okay, Jasper, do you listen to Chopped and Screwed?
I have. I don't listen to it as like a genre itself, like that I would just put on. I've listened to, I like Travis a lot. A lot of his inspiration draws from that. So I've gone back and I've listened to like DJ Screw and some stuff in the like early aughts that kind of draws inspiration from that as well. But like, I wouldn't say it's a genre that I actively listen to. To me, it's definitely more of that kind of like background feel, just based on how distorted a lot of it is. It doesn't make for something I actively listen to.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, Chopped and Screwed is definitely ambient music. Definitely, it's not. It doesn't scratch the same itch as like basically.
I'm not gonna lie,
but it hits really hard.
I'm 50-50 on it. There are some times where I do enjoy it, and it's not done as often anymore. So like most of the stuff you would listen to is older.
That's true.
The only recent stuff I can think of: Metro Boomin,
Don Toliver,
Brett
Faiyaz. Brett Faiyaz.
A lot of Astroworld and even everything before that carries it. I mean, look at like Can't Say and stuff like that.
Oh, but like the actual like
even
taking that original song and taking it even further,
Yeah, for sure.
And the other thing is
I don't know.
Traditionally, like it's DJs who aren't involved with the original project doing it too.
Right.
DJ
True.
Screw.
Yeah,
it's tough. I just feel like sometimes it depends on the song because like I don't know. You ever had that like feeling like the original is just too good? Don't mess with it. I feel like
No.
I get that thought a
No.
lot. Where like it just doesn't sound as good as the original.
I feel like
My
I
thing,
have that, but then there's always something that comes along that proves me wrong.
Yeah, and
Like
changes your perspective.
when you shared that link to the Stevie Wonder video,
Oh yeah, true. That's a
Yeah.
classic.
and I was like, bro, I went and listened to Blonde today after
Yeah.
that.
It's a great album.
I did not watch the Stevie Wonder video. I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's
But
good.
have you seen it before? I've seen it so many times.
No,
I love it.
I don't
So
know.
it's it's a performance of Stevie performing with the vocoder thing that changes his voice and
Oh, yeah.
digitizes it,
Yeah.
and that's what's featured on what's the song on Blonde? I'll be honest,
Oh,
I
Jesus.
wasn't devastated. We're gonna get copyright
Was
strike.
it Futura?
Held my hand
Close to you.
through this,
Close to,
baby.
yeah.
Close to you, yeah. And it's like that audio is playing in the background, but his voice is also like modulated or whatever to sound like that Frank's. So it's like both of them together.
Oh, interesting.
Mwah.
It's such a good album. It's such
Yeah.
a good album.
And if you didn't know, you wouldn't know that it's a sample. It sounds pretty organic. Like you can't
Yeah.
tell it's Stevie Wonder. At least I couldn't.
Yeah. And yeah,
It's
no.
always a gym going back there.
My
But
thing
go
is
on.
that there are definitely like songs that like when they're slowed down or they're chopped and screwed, it's like, no, this just doesn't work.
Mhm.
But then there are just some where it's like, fuck. Like
Yeah.
Faith
Yeah.
by The Weeknd.
That's already
You
That's good, and it just makes it better.
yeah, it's just like, but the other thing is that like even the stuff that's good though, like it's only good if you listen to it less than you listen to the original.
Okay.
Yeah, like at least for me personally.
For me, my favorite chopped and screwed song of probably all time of my like admittedly limited range has got to be 5% Tint.
Oh, that's a good one.
That song has
yeah.
like such an evil energy. I love it.
Mine is
Evil energy. I like that.
Mine is, and I've listened to this song so much that when I hear the original now, it sounds like Chipmunks.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Jadena's Classic Man.
Okay.
Interesting.
It was
Classic,
in the
okay.
movie Moonlight. Like one of the characters is like a Memphis drug dealer, and
You're
like
gonna hate that I haven't seen Moonlight.
it's an extremely good movie. Yes, you should see it, but like I also get why people haven't. It's very artistic and esoteric. It's like one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life. And like I will never not recommend it, but also like I get it. Like
Okay.
I just shared a link for the Who Sampled site in the random of the Discord. Basically, you should listen to like the first 5 seconds of Cell Therapy, the song that was sampled, and then listen to the first 5 seconds of 5% Tint, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about.
interesting.
Just like instantly clicks.
Instantly, like we on that devious shit this time.
I love devious shit. If there's one thing I like,
Literally, the two
devious.
things that always comes up is either something around this or Revolution. It's like every episode. You're
we
pushing
still
for
have
it.
an hour and 45 minutes. We got
Okay.
plenty of time, buddy. There's still time for Revolution now.
Yeah, it's pushing the
Jesus.
narrative. Anyway,
The
moving
Imprisoned
on.
Nobodies
Yeah.
new podcast.
Literally, yeah.
We're pirate radio. We will never be off the air. We will do this podcast from the back of a van in, I don't know, the jungles of Venezuela. I don't care.
Okay, Brandon.
More like Venezuela, am I right?
I hate both of you.
Yeah,
I do
no.
not like
I hate it, but I also
anything that's going on.
I respect it though. Like I hated it, but I respect it.
How it goes.
Okay.
As someone who's a goat at being annoying, real recognize real. Like
I'm going to move on to the music
I'm glad we were all
videos.
able to convene
I'm
in
going to move
contact.
on to
yeah,
the
go on,
music
go on, go ahead, go ahead.
Please. Jesus.
Oh, there we go.
We have Lil Yachty. His new song that came out last week is actually really good. I don't know if
is
you guys
it?
heard it.
I have not heard
It's
it.
actually really
I've heard
good.
it.
I'll get to it.
Strike, or the name of the song is Strike. Music video came with it, directed by, I believe, Lyrical Lemonade. I might need to double check, but I'm pretty sure. We have Metro Boomin coming out with Too Many Nights. We got Don Tolliver on screen doing a stupid little new dance. It's great.
This was the best song on that album, so I'm into it.
Yeah, I'll take it. Then lastly, yesterday, Absol dropped the Herbert music video. I'm getting back in my Absol bag, getting ready for the concert.
Oh my god. I forget that we're going.
It's gonna be great. It's going to be amazing, and I feel like he's going to bring out someone from TDE, and I will take anyone.
It's gonna be Isaiah Rashad. Calling it now.
I will take Isaiah Rashad. I'll take J Rock. I'll take any of them. I'll take SZA. But anyway, moving on to the actual singles coming out. Post Malone is coming out with Chemicals. Brandon, your favorite white rapper.
Dang.
Is this a Imagine Dragons cover?
I don't know, actually. Might be. We have.
I don't think it is, but that would be hilarious.
I mean, it might be. I don't know. We have Ice Spice coming out with a remix to her Princess Diana song featuring Nicki Minaj.
This is a huge cosign for her.
Yeah, I'm happy for her. Like I said, I openly admitted I was wrong.
Oh,
I was wrong. I was wrong. She's not a
I
one-hit wonder.
Respect the shit out of that, Purvis. I think you did it very well. My thing though is like, I'm shocked Cardi B didn't get to her first.
That's a good point.
Because like she's New York. They're both New York as fuck. And remember that Glorilla song with that Cardi B feature?
Cardi B, but yeah.
Look, that song's not for me, but that feature go hard. I'm sorry. I'm calling balls and strikes here. She shouted out Ice Spice, and it's like, oh shit, like, and that seemed like I don't know. I don't think
natural progression.
Yeah, it seemed like the natural lineage. Ice Spice isn't like as in your face and ratchet, I guess, as Cardi B, but like it seemed like the natural progression. But Nicki Minaj got to her first.
Who knows? So, we'll see how it plays out.
Either way, I'll be listening to this just because I like a Nicki verse, and she doesn't drop much anymore. She
does not. I said this last week. I think she was featured on another song last week, and I was like, it's in that weird spot of like, are you gonna come out with like a project? Like, what's going on here? But moving on to some other stuff, super exciting. We have Saba and No ID coming out with a single, Back in Office. I believe this is leading up to a mixtape that he was kind of teasing on Instagram. Super excited for this. I love this. We got Saba last year, so I'll take him again. Brandon, I could be incorrect, but Dominique Fike, is that correct? You know him, right? You like his music.
I've listened to a couple of his albums, a few of his songs. Like, he's cool. He's like a little bit more on the poppier side for me. He's like he sounds a lot like Brockhampton if it was like another step or two towards pop.
Okay.
Right.
I couldn't remember.
He has this one
song 3 Nights.
Yeah, that's like the
okay.
That's like the most popular song.
Okay.
Yeah, I love that song. That song's fantastic, and I've heard him on other things, but never really hit for me totally. He's also on Euphoria.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
like as an actor.
Yeah, he's an actor on Euphoria.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was just going through my
news. I also have another Euphoria connection that I'm going to bring up in the news.
Okay, but
yeah.
No, I was going to say because like I was just going through my resources, I should say, and I saw the name and I was like, I feel like Brandon and I have talked about this. But yeah, he's coming out with the single "Dancing in the Courthouse." Hasn't had an album for 3 years, so hopefully we get something soon. But now we have a ton of just news.
Yeah.
Starting off over the last week, the album Wolf by Tyler, the Creator, has hit the 10-year anniversary.
That's wild. That's wild from just a I feel old aspect. Because like, and I've said this before on the show, like Tyler, the Creator was like the very first artist who had a fan base that was too young for me. Because like I was like 20, 21. And it was like, they were like 16, 17, it was like the first time I wasn't one of the kids, so it really makes me feel old.
Especially now because he's like, his career has changed completely where his fan base has caught up to you in terms of just like the age group.
I feel like it ranges like crazy for him. Like a lot of other artists don't have that. I see people who are like 16, 17, 18 going ham to New Magic Wand. It's just like I see people who are like 30.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I think like Tyler has retained that younger audience while his audience ages. And
Yeah.
also, like, I think his newer stuff is way more accessible.
For
I
sure.
think plays better with like people who were a generation or two ahead of him. Like your brother, I think. Like he listens, Isaac. He listens to.
He just got into it.
He
Yeah.
just got into like Igor and all that, and he fucks with it. You know.
Yeah, we were talking about that when he was
when he was
the
here.
guest.
Yeah.
All of my brother and all my cousins around my brother's age. Like I'm always the youngest one, but none of them, like Tyler the Creator, never went into it. The Weeknd never went into it.
That one's
I'm like,
wild.
gosh, you need to like just.
How did you talk to girls? Like
There were back then. There were many other people. There was Chris Brown. There was Usher. They had options.
I think Chris Brown
ones.
signals some wild intent.
Look, those are the most popular ones. There's Nelly and many others.
Yeah,
Like,
Nelly.
We can go down the list.
Yeah, Nelly. If you want to talk to a girl who likes the same kind of music as my mom.
Oh,
My mom loves Nelly.
whoa, Nelly.
I don't know what to do with that.
I respect Nelly. I think he's good, but I'm just saying, like,
Come on,
We
bro.
we can circle this back to the we can circle this back to the Loiter Squad clip. I'll whip your ass. Your girlfriend looks like my mom.
That is literally what you just did. That's why I don't know how to.
I don't know what you want
And
from me.
scene.
Well, Jasper, I'm assuming you put this up. So what's up with the estate? What's going on?
Yeah, dude. We talked about the estate sale a little while ago,
Yeah.
and it was right before it dropped. And I figured it's been a little bit, and it's not a full album, so we don't need to warrant a deep dive or anything. But I'm curious what you all both thought of it. 8 tracks and the rollout of the deluxe merch and clothing and everything else.
I did not really look at the merch or clothing or anything, just because like I'm just not. Yeah, like it's phenomenal. Tyler's design sensibility is fantastic. It's almost like so consistently good that it's like, to me, it's almost like I'm numb to it.
It feels fake. It feels like industry plant level type shit because he's such an out there person, and it feels so choreographed, but in like a good way.
My thing is that like I wouldn't even say faked because it feels authentic, but maybe boring. Like
yeah, well,
like,
sure,
it's
yeah,
so
it's
good.
like very.
It's just so good that like
Yeah.
and so consistently good that it's like
It's actual designer
it doesn't
level as well.
surprise
Yeah.
it doesn't surprise or shock me anymore. That's the
Mhm.
thing. Yeah, I don't, because once again, like Tyler's just not at that level of artist for me that I'm going to be spending a whole lot of money on his merch. So like
Sure.
I'm always looking at it from like just a what do I think about this? And
Yeah.
I always think it looks dope, but it's always like that's about it. Like
Yeah, I was looking to pick up "Call Me If You Get Lost" on vinyl as is, and this came out right before I was going to do that.
that's
And
convenient for you. Like
It
We were
really
at work
is.
and I was just like, bro, did you
Yeah.
see this?
and you turned away for a second, and I had bought it. Like, I respect the hell out of the fact that the special edition
Really dope.
color of the vinyl matches his nail polish, like the nail polish line of his. That's fire.
He's really done a lot. Just like
Yeah.
in fashion design. The fact, I think it's him and Lil Yachty, maybe Kid Cudi. Those are the only people I can think of that have like a nail line.
oh yeah.
Like, that's how you know you're really in the fashion industry.
It's like we made it. I'm curious. So what do we think of the 8 tracks? What's the highs? What's the lows?
Here's the thing, right? Like I did not see any lows. I listened to it. I listened to
Yeah.
it right when it came out.
I feel the
was
same
like,
way.
Damn. Damn.
Yep.
And then I haven't thought about it again until right now. Like
Facts.
like what, Purvis?
I was wondering how many dams you're gonna get out.
I was gonna do 8. Like,
It's like the Don Cheadle Kevin Hart
yeah.
conversation where he's like, "Damn."
Yeah.
That's not how I said it. I didn't say
Yeah.
it like that.
Yeah.
I'm
So,
sorry.
like,
I didn't mean it like that. Yeah.
yeah. So like, yeah, that was my reaction. Like, I liked it, but Call Me If You Get Lost, as much as I think it's like an incredible album, it wasn't very sticky for me, you know? And like, I'm not going to say it doesn't have replay value. I definitely think it does. It just wasn't, it was something
Not as much as like Igor.
Yeah. for me personally, none of Tyler's music has ever been like very sticky. It's never been something that winds up in my on repeat or like my major at the end, like on my list at the end of the year, you know. But like, it's good as shit. Like, and like, I also think like it has that appeal. It's not like a Mr. Morale where it's like I can see that there's a barrier to this being a repeat listen kind of experience. It's like, no, I get why people listen to this all the time. I just don't.
Yeah.
I get that. I'm pretty much in the same boat. There weren't any misses, at least from what I can remember.
The fuck song was really good.
Dogtooth.
Yeah, Dogtooth.
Oh, yeah,
Dogtooth was really good.
It's the most popular one.
Yeah.
I,
What was
I don't
the
know. I
first
just
one?
feel like
I'll
the
be
first one
honest.
was like a skit. To be honest,
Well, there's
No,
Everything
the-
Must Go, which is the skit, but
Yeah.
the first actual song is Stuntman, which is my favorite.
I liked Stuntman a lot. That was the one where it was like,
Vince Staples?
fuck. Yeah, it was Vince Staples.
Jelly Bean Kelly Green rolls, inside white like a jalapeno. Yeah, that song is a banger.
Who thinks of these things?
And that's the actual car too. Like he's got the car. It's on his IG, which is life imitates.
It honestly does. Is the song about the car actually on this, or is it on the last album?
So he talks about Rolls Royces throughout the entire thing.
Okay.
She said she liked the Royce, and I'm like, which one? I got two Hun. Rolls Royce pull up, Black Boy hop out.
Yeah, that's
and
because
so
I
on.
remember doing the concert. It was like it's
Yeah.
the whole skit. It was like, oh, this old white lady came up to me. It's like, what you doing?
Never Rained in Cali came with the umbrella. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's got a Cullinan, and then he's got another one. But the Cullinan is like literally like a Kelly or British Army green, and then it's got a white interior. And he posted it on his like Finsta, and it's like where he was up in like the ski lodge recording and shit, like all those photos from that, and it's like it being wheeled out of a garage.
Honestly, I think at the end of the day, I think he's going to be considered like the A tier in terms of like
I don't see
the top of the top.
I think as far as like, I think he's already there.
I don't see another way around it. Like,
if his music, if his next album is like awful, maybe it's like, yeah, he's not an A tier.
Might be challenged.
Yeah, if he has like 3 awful records in a row, maybe he's like in C tier. But like, no, I think as far as like pure creativity, as far as like artistic expression, I 100% put him in the A tier of like what is going on right now. You know, I think he's probably him, and there's a few of them, but like I think he's one of the heir apparents for Kanye.
Yeah,
because I still think that ship has sailed. Like,
yeah. Which is funny because originally, I remember an interview, Gambino said he was like the new Kanye. And
I think he is too. Like,
the turntables though, like the direction Gambino's gone creatively, and also just like in terms of the kind of media he's making, versus like Tyler getting like every single facet of his career becoming more focused on like a more singular kind of identity and ability in terms of production and in terms of rapping and in terms of song arrangement and everything else, right? It's like you see Gambino diversify out into film and break away from hip hop and rap and make Awaken My Love. But then Tyler really like drills down and gets into like a more serious version of himself with every project almost.
I mean, my only thing is that I do resent not calling Awaken My Love a more serious version of Childish Gambino.
No, I agree with that, but I'm saying it's a different in terms of the genre. Yeah. It's no longer in the genre of hip hop.
Sure. Yeah, and he also came back with "This Is America" though, which I don't like. I watched the Santana.
Apparently was a Drake diss track.
Yeah, weird. Apparently, like
what a transition.
Apparently, Gambino is a bit of a hate boner for Drake because apparently 3005 apparently started as a Drake diss track too.
No.
Yeah.
Like both songs end up very different and very good.
But yeah, no, I think Tyler is one of the heir apparents for Kanye. I think the only other person who's like way behind him in my opinion, in terms of like breadth of work. Give me 1 second. I'd say the only other person who's like, and he's behind Tyler in terms of like breadth of work, is Kevin Abstract.
I knew you was gonna say Kevin Abstract.
Dude, he's a crazy creative motherfucker.
Well, all of them are, like you said, just children of pieces of Kanye, I should say, breaking down and involved into his own self.
Yeah.
No, I bet. Well, let's move on to the other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have Doja Cat has finally confirmed that her next album will be a full rap album, and she's been like trolling all over her social medias. To be honest, 1 second tweeting it's coming out, the next second saying it's not. All I can say is that I'm happy that she's back. I think
Yeah.
it's been years that she was gone dealing with some kind of medical condition, right, or something like that.
I don't know if
Like
it's
her
been
voice
years.
was gone or something.
I think she dropped it in 2020 or 2021.
Was that recent? Oh, okay.
She had a big single last year, and I only know because Rachel would not stop playing it.
Understandable. I do understand.
Yeah.
But moving on from that, we have your other favorite white rapper.
Oh my god. This
Logic.
I could not. I would need a fucking open head surgery to roll my eyes harder at this headline. Like
Jesus Christ.
like half breed? Like
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, Logic, you're not a horse. You're
Like
barely a rapper.
Like the Harry Potter insult, half breed.
I think it's I think it's mudblood.
They do both. They
Yeah.
call people who are not like centaurs would be half breeds because it's like half human.
Yeah, no, that look, J.K. Rowling, when she did her world building, she was like, let me write a bunch of slurs. And it's like, are you gonna think about how the magic works? It's like, nope, slurs.
No.
It's like
Slurs.
also, by the way, the elves, they like the house elves love being slaves. They love it.
We had to make it the authentic British experience.
Yeah, they love it. They are just so crazy about being slaves. Like
Clothes, no. Servitude.
an actual thing that happens in the fourth book. Like
Fifth, I think. But yeah.
yeah.
All of them.
If you're talking about creature, yeah.
I'm talking about the spew plot line where Hermione is like
Oh, yeah.
she's advocating to like free
Yep.
the house elves because they're slaves.
I completely forgot about that.
And they were like, no, they like
it this way.
Dobby
yeah.
didn't, but the normal house elves like, and it's like, and remember 2 books previous, it was an allegory for chattel slavery in the U.S.
Yep.
Expand that metaphor forward, and Purvis gave her $70. Like,
Couldn't be me, dude.
yeah. Oh my god.
You get it all out.
I am not. I am. Yeah. I have so many hate things for Harry Potter.
Which is
Master has
understandable.
given-
I've never
First-
seen any of the
oh
movies.
my!
Master has given Dobby a Glock. Dobby wishes you would fuck around and find
Yeah.
out.
The
I
movies are
haven't seen a single
the
movie.
movies are like the best part of any part of the franchise. Because like
Yeah, no.
they edit
Okay,
out
I've
a
read
lot of the worst
books.
parts.
I will say, for what they are and how poorly they've aged, the actual written books are very well written for being kids' books.
I think the first 3 that actually are kids' books, I agree with you. Because I
Fair.
reread them during 2020.
Yeah.
Super nerd side.
Why?
Okay, so I'm an aspiring author. So like, you read books the same way we listen to music for this show. And like, if I'm going to hate something, I'm going to know it.
Yep.
Like,
Fact. That's why I
And
even
like-
bother to listen to Drake anymore.
yeah, like,
I listened to Search and
Definitely.
Rescue. Brandon and
like-
I talked about it.
and like, keep in mind, and
It's
keep
not a
it,
good song.
no, it's not a good song. And keep in mind, like, I hated Harry Potter long before J.K. Rowling was a bigot. Like,
You hate the wizards.
I hate him. Like, I hate the movies so much. Read another book. Like,
It's
Yeah.
literally, you have 3 options. You
Oh.
either identify it with Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, or Star Wars. You just kind of picked one.
mine was comic books. I was not into any of those franchises until I was well into adulthood.
Lord of the
No.
Rings, baby.
Lord of the Rings is fantastic. Oh my-
Undefeated. Another British racist, but this time it's,
Tolkien was not nearly as bad.
Manageable.
Nowhere near as bad.
true. And also he's removed by the context of the era he was existing in. But I mean, orcs are black people. That's like the insinuation.
Yeah. Well, did you ever hear the story about the dwarves?
No.
So the dwarves in Lord of the Rings are an allegory for Jewish people.
Oh,
And-
why does that
No,
not surprise me at
no.
all?
Hear me out. Hear the whole thing, right? He puts out The Hobbit, which is like a children's book.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the Nazi party is like, we fucking love this shit.
Yeah. That's how it
And
goes.
he's writing the Lord of the Rings when he gets this letter. He gets the letter and he immediately goes to the nearest synagogue and he consults with like all the top rabbis in Britain in order to get the dwarves like away from that, in order to like make them something that the Nazis would not like. And that's why the lore for the dwarves changes so much between The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, it's one of those things that authors and other people of note have to keep in mind. It's like, if it happened to Nietzsche, it will happen to you.
Yeah.
The Nazis will interpret your content in a way that you do not like.
Yeah.
It happened to the Northmen like 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah. Like, I love that movie.
That's such a good movie that's been immediately ruined by
that movie. Yeah, no, definitely.
fanatics.
Definitely was. Even though that movie is about drugs. Like,
okay.
No, it is. It's about how psychedelic drugs were a huge part of like the spirituality of like early, like the Vikings.
In part, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the spirituality part, like,
yeah,
you know, they would take like something very similar to ayahuasca before they went into battle.
Yep.
I don't even know what that is.
It's a hallucinogen. That's like a plant.
It's like shrooms, but 1,000,000 times stronger.
Yeah.
Nice.
And it lasts a week.
Like breathe
that
it.
Sounds like that's exactly what I want to do when I go to war. Anywho, back to hip hop.
Yeah. It's called a Vibecast.
It's literally a Vibecast.
I make no apologies for this degeneracy.
Yeah, neither do I.
Just gonna hit everything today. I'm gonna hit everything. We have No Name coming back.
Love this.
Speaking of another
love this.
very passionate or passionate political figure. No Name's back. Hell yeah. She says she's dropping in July. Super excited for this. Another win for Chicago.
Love this. Yeah, super cool. I huge fan of hers. What was it? Door 37?
Is it 34? I don't know.
Maybe it was a number.
It's room something.
There's a restaurant in Chicago.
Room 25.
Bin 36. I was like, that's pretty close.
Yeah.
No. Room 25.
That was fantastic.
Just coming up with stuff. But yes, all of this was phenomenal. I love No Name. I like going back. Every once in a while, just listen to the discography. It's a very light listen. Yeah, I'm here for it. And hopefully, please, there is a Saba and Smino featured song.
Dude, I want
never
Ghetto
get
Sage.
the trilogy.
I need Ghetto Sage back so bad. I want it back.
Please. Now, what's probably the biggest news that we've had over the last week, Donald Glover put out a advertisement, if you want to say, for his agency, Gilga.
Yeah, I applied.
What did you apply to? Or what did you apply for?
Conceptor.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
I have a pretty robust, my portfolio is a concepting portfolio. So,
as someone who's not a creative, how difficult is this, like, getting into this job? Like, actually, though,
how difficult is it going to be? Extremely.
Bro, this is going to be like auditioning for a movie.
This is going to be like trying to get into Harvard.
Okay.
Like,
and there's going to be people applying who have been doing the job for 20 years.
Yeah. So,
and shit like that.
First,
how big is the average team?
I have no
50?
idea. I have no idea because it doesn't. I don't like.
It's usually smaller than that.
Like my team right now is like 10 creatives, but it's a huge account.
No? Jasper, you about to say something?
Yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like my connect who works in media production for like concert events and venues.
Mm.
The reason I was able to attend the Jidsmino show, stuff like that. It's usually like maybe a group of like 10 people to do like event coordination, and then they work with like separate hired agencies. So it's not like there's one big agency. It's like a very small agency they have the creative heads, and the creative heads work with other, like, basically the equivalent of like specialty contractors to get it all done logistically.
Yeah, and we do similar things. Like it's different like now because I work on such a huge account, but it's like we'll like think of the idea, you know, and then we'll contact someone local, like some local producer, artist, what have you. Like I remember one time when we were pitching Aldi. This was like 6 years ago, so I can talk about this. Like we
Mm.
found this photographer in Chicago who would take like pictures of Aldi's at sunsets. So we just paid them an amount to like go out and
Use that.
to make
Yeah.
content for the pitch.
That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah. So
There's
like
that just reminds me. There's a book I keep getting recommended as like an ad on Instagram. It's like an art book called Waffle House Vistas, and
Yeah.
it's like architectural
heard of it.
photos of waffle houses
yeah.
all across the U.S. I'm like, why would I
Yeah.
need this?
My question is, I wonder like what Childish Gambino is doing with this. I wonder if this is going to be a glorified ad agency, which I kind of feel like it might be. But I also, I don't know.
I wonder if
definitely-
this
mean-
could be the start of him having like his own media label of some kind.
I also wonder, like, is this just something he's doing like to generate revenue? Like, I don't know. Like,
Who knows?
you gotta.
I mean, it could be
gotta
possible. I
afford those
wouldn't
silk
scratch
robes somehow. Like,
If he's going more in the production direction, I could definitely see like him having his own production company being
Yeah.
super valuable in terms of like negotiating power for projects.
yeah, no, definitely. I just, I look at some of the roles, and it's like, are these production roles? Because some of them seem like it, but some of them don't.
Not all of them
A
do.
lot of some
Yeah.
of them were like marketing, to be honest.
Yeah,
It had
yeah.
nothing
Yeah.
to do with creative.
Marketing or just
Well,
like
not
technology
nothing,
even.
but
Yeah, technology. There was an AI prompt generator.
Yep.
Yeah,
I'm just curious.
I
because
should apply for that with our mini game
Honestly.
coming up.
yeah.
You should.
That will-
The only thing that I see that kind of stood out for me was the fact that like the mission statement or vision statement, I'm not too sure what it was, but it was just saying like it was created to filter out like the other stuff. And it was just saying like when you're online, you get a lot of garbage content.
Yeah.
Either it's just poor
I
quality,
literally have
attention.
I literally have an idea in my book about that.
Yeah,
Crash
so
culture.
Yeah,
There you
like
go.
I had this idea like when I was in portfolio school, it was like a prompt. It's like, how would you save Tumblr?
mhm.
And like my
Ooh.
idea was like, what if we completely rework the functionality, and it's like you plug all your social media into it, and you only get stuff from the accounts you interact with.
Tight.
That's perfect.
Yeah, and it's like that's like why I read that and I rolled my eyes a little bit, because it's like I've seen that idea like in a bunch of people's like portfolios. It's not something novel. It's almost a cliche.
Something
Yeah,
he wouldn't stoop down to.
Yeah,
Knowing
it's
Donald
just-
Glover, it would be something more unique.
I don't know, like but at the same time, like I think of like, what would someone with genuine creative genius stepping into a media role and maybe not knowing what he's doing fully, like what would he say? And it's like,
That is also true.
yeah. So, and look, I don't think that paints a particularly bad picture of Donald. I love Donald, but like
It's just being real.
the best T-shirt I ever owned was one that said, "The only Donald I respect is Glover." It got stolen in college.
That's up there with that what is it? That Jay-Z line, only Christopher we acknowledge is Wallace.
Yeah, exactly.
Respectable.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that's my feelings on Gilga. Like, I think it's cool, but like, I wonder like what it actually is. And I bet,
We'll figure out soon.
I bet this is a lot of sizzle, you know.
Well, hopefully he steps up to what he's known to create
I hope so.
in whatever field it is.
Yeah, I hope he can
Um,
create a business as innovative as his albums.
You're right.
But the reality is that for most people, those are just completely two different skill sets.
Mhm. But moving on to one of the other greatest minds of our generation, the Frank Ocean, his infamous E30 car was seen near Coachella. Everyone's talking about it. Go on, Jasper.
Yes.
I have a question. Who wrote this originally? This line.
Which
Purvis,
one?
was it you? Like this in the doc?
Yeah, is it not E30? What is it?
It is an E30. I corrected it. You had it down as an E40, which doesn't exist.
Oh crap!
It's an E30 M3.
E40 is a
Thank
rapper.
you.
1988 E30 M3.
But yeah, it was seen near Coachella. And then all the like neighboring villages and stuff were talking about it, hearing him practice. It is real. And
They better stream that shit, man. I'll watch it. Goddamn.
I'm pretty sure it's gonna be streamed.
It better not be on Tidal. Tidal.
I will purchase a month for it
Can
if I have.
can we talk about the fact that BMW of the United States made an Instagram post with this car and basically alluded to, yeah, but the fact that a car brand is getting involved off a project that was never officially sold and came out over 10 years ago
There's something we
is
don't know going on. There's the
incredible.
It's influence also. It's just
I think
it's so damn
anything with
cool to
Frank
see.
Ocean, you
I
want to
think-
be a part of it.
Purvis, I get that impulse. I had the same impulse. Be careful not to fall into the bubble. I don't think Nostalgia Ultra is like the cover of Nostalgia Ultra is like this cultural, touchstone.
Oh no!
That would generate a brand deal off of iconography alone.
I don't think so. But like when you think of the E30, you're not going to just think about that album. You're gonna think about all of Frank Ocean. That's what I meant.
Okay, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
But anyway,
what's funny is that image was never Frank Ocean's image. He got it off of a forum where that exact 88 M3 was being sold back in like 2011 or 10. It was being sold for $8,000. Today, that car will go for like minimum 60.
yeah.
And goes upwards of 120 to 150, depending on who's dumb enough to bid it up. Pretty much.
I mean that's influence.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think you shared it earlier. It was something I saw was trending on Reddit where someone has done the research
Yeah.
to find out that he copyrighted a song. So
Yeah,
people
there's
are
a new like ASCAP registration
Yeah.
or something. So new music is being produced for Coachella, like it says in the contract, and we'll see what he performs.
Oh my god, it does reek of like the Desperation Da Vinci Code. Like as a lifelong Cubs fan, like before we won the fucking series, like in 2016, you always saw this shit where it's like it's gonna happen.
Yeah,
and it's
for sure.
It doesn't happen. And
I
then
don't
it
know.
happened.
I think Frank Ocean could definitely engage in some fan service after this much time away from any type of public appearance. We'll see.
It's possible, honestly. It's possible. All right, Brandon. I know you are very excited.
I'm so excited.
Would you like to speak on
Next
the
Friday, I don't know about the GOAT. Like he's
Okay.
top 20 maybe, but like he's my underrated king for sure.
All right.
Right. Well, maybe
Speak
my underrated prince under Big Crit. But like
Speak on Belly. Who is this fella that you want to promote?
Belly,
Mr. Belly.
I mean, we did a whole episode about him last year where we
For those
needlessly
who
compared
haven't
him
seen it.
to a different artist. Yeah, no, Billy, rapper of XO, legacy artist, written for a ton of artists, written some of the biggest hits of of like this past 10 years. Blinding Lights, Can't Feel My Face. He has
Something with
his,
Beyonce.
huh? The one
Someone with Beyonce.
It was the one with Beyonce and The Weeknd.
Oh, okay.
He also wrote the one from 50 Shades of Grey. So yeah,
Yeah,
like
because that's Weekend song, right? That one.
Yeah, he's wrote a
Purvis
bunch
one.
of songs for The Weeknd, basically.
Earned
And
it.
Yeah, that was it.
Mm-hmm.
But he also has, in my opinion, a really compelling solo career. Like, and this is going to be the last year of it. I don't know if he's dropping 1 or 2 albums or 1 mixtape in an album, but something drops next Friday.
But
So
I'm
I'm
here for it, honestly.
excited. He also said that he was going to be doing a tour this year, and I'll be there.
you're gonna drag me to a Belly show.
I'm gonna buy the ticket for you. I feel like if I just pay for it and don't make you pay me back, you will have to legally. Like
Legally.
like
The contract is sealed.
the contract is sealed in blood.
All right.
So yeah, no, that's my feeling. I'm very excited about this. Every year Belly puts something out. It's one of my favorites of the year. So we'll see if the streak goes.
Yeah, honestly,
I hope
will
he has.
go.
I hope he has another song in Spider-Verse.
It'll also be really dope.
Yeah.
No, I'll go to a show. I'm excited for it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's tour season. It's a lot.
Yeah.
We are going to a lot of shows, and we have a lot more to cover. We have Rolling Loud Miami, one of the biggest shows out there. The headliners for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday are Playboy Cardi, Travis Scott, and A$AP Rocky. There are special guests of Kodak Black, 21 Savage, and Lil Uzi Vert. Besides the headliners, it's the rest of the industry. Jasper?
I was just gonna say, my connect and I were talking about this literally yesterday, and I was like, "This is fire," and they were like, "If I can work this event, do you want to go?" And I was like, yeah." And then they looked at it and they didn't realize the dates, and they're like, "Oh, it's Miami in the summertime. I thought this was in like November. You're on your own. I don't want to go to Miami in the summer because it's disgusting."
Yeah.
And I was like, "That's totally valid."
Yeah. No.
I get that.
Here's my thing, right? If there was a Rolling Loud Chicago, I'd be there. Like,
Oh,
I
for
would-
sure.
100%,
for sure.
right? But here's the thing. I am a known Lollapalooza apologist. But I've always said that the criticism that Lollapalooza is filled with annoying white teenagers is completely valid. And I put up with it because Lollapalooza is a 25-minute ride on the red line from my house.
Mhm.
I feel like Rolling Loud is going to be that, but worse. And I have to fly all the way to Miami. And like, don't get me wrong, I'm Cuban. I like Miami. Like, I was there last year. Like, but I don't know. Like, I would if someone like if this show ever like got us tickets there, I'd pay for the hotel. That'd be fun. Like, and I think this is a great lineup. You know, like just from a programming perspective. But
Yeah.
I am perfectly okay with the fact that nope, I'm not gonna be going to this. Like,
It'll be
For-
streaming at least.
yeah,
True.
yeah,
For how much Lala tickets cost, I find that I tend to only like a smaller selection of the artists. I would say that Rolling Loud consistently over the last like 3 or 4 years has definitely had like a pool of artists that definitely appeals more to my taste personally.
sure.
So like
yeah,
I would feel more
definitely.
justified in the price of it as well, just because of like you kind of pay that heritage music festival tax with Lala a little bit. I find
Maybe
in
a
terms
little.
of like ticket prices, but it's not really like something you notice that much, I guess.
I'll be honest. I have no idea how much Rolling Loud tickets cost. I would be
Look it up right now.
Yeah, so I would assume that they were the same. And like, yeah, no, that's definitely true, and that's definitely true for me too. Like, Rolling Loud definitely has a more compelling lineup for me than Lollapalooza usually does. But there is another side to that, and this other side to that is that you can't see everything,
Yeah.
and you don't have control over what gets programmed. I know Purvis is big, like, why doesn't Lollapalooza just have one day where you see all the hip hop? And it's like, because they're trying to sell you a weekend pass, and their justification is like, we put it all in one day, you can only see 3 acts.
So a 3-day GA pass for Rolling Loud 23 this year is $350.
Yeah, that's like the same I think that's the same as Lala.
About the same.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Same price range.
Yeah.
There was another one I was looking at. Maybe it was like Golf Ball or something where it was just cheaper. I don't know.
Yeah. I
don't
know
know what
Riot
I will
Fest
believe
is
that,
like
yeah.
$200 after fees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like,
Riot Fest is a lot less.
yeah, but
So
like
is Pitchfork, I'm pretty sure.
Pitchfork is even less than Riot
Like
Fest.
way less, yeah.
Not
that I would go.
So
with
like,
that, but, you know.
yeah, that's the thing is that like I'm not going to pay the equivalent to Lala and a hotel room in Miami in the summer
Valid. And a flight.
and a flight. Yeah,
Right.
for this. Don't get me wrong. Like, Travis Scott is probably my top 3 want to see live artists.
Yes.
Like,
Absolutely.
my numero uno.
yeah, he's like my numero
Just-
uno is Frank.
At Summer Smash, I'm gonna lose my mind.
You're telling me.
Yeah, no,
I asked about it. We don't know yet.
I would
Well,
love to see Travis Scott, right? If Purvis was like, let's get in my car, let's drive to Indianapolis or some shit to see Travis Scott, I'd be like, hell yeah.
We would go see Travis Scott.
Yeah. Like, why he would be in Indianapolis and not Chicago?
What does the turnout
Wisconsin.
look like in
Well-
Indianapolis for a Travis Scott show? I have to know.
It's probably mostly full.
Just all
Like,
Chicago,
I
all
assume-
Chicago, all
Yeah.
Chicagoans.
Yeah,
let's say Madison, Wisconsin. That's more realistic.
yeah, or
Sure.
Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Milwaukee, I could see.
Yeah, but yeah, no. So that's just my thing. Is that like, I think Rolling Loud looks cool, but like one, I think like The Crowd is probably one I jive with, even less than Lala.
Very true.
And also, like, there's
You have to have a certain mindset and
I
lifestyle
you have to be willing to spend
go to
4
Miami.
times as much.
Right. In the summer.
And that's also
Facts.
like, like I come home from Lollapalooza, I make myself food that costs $10. Like, you're in Miami, you're gonna do that? Like, you're on vacation. Like,
your
these
side
things-
is going to be $20.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
it's
Actually, you know what's super funny is like when I was in Miami, when we went out for breakfast a few times, me and my brother,
Mhm.
the food was actually super like reasonably priced.
That's good though.
There was like a side of bacon, and it was like $4. I'm like, oh yeah, like that's fine because it was like a bougie brunch.
It's like home, basically.
Yeah, and it
almost.
was like a bougie brunch place. So I'm like, oh, this is probably just gonna be like 3-4 strips of bacon. It was a plate piled high. Like I
God
couldn't
That's-
finish it all. I had to give some to my brother. Like,
That's insane.
yeah. So actually, that's probably bullshit. by my own
That takes me
experience.
back, man.
Dude.
Back when traveling was cheap pre-COVID.
yeah.
Cheaper.
In life. But luckily we have other tours coming to us. We have Little Baby coming up very soon, coming to Chicago. We have Little Sims doing a American tour finally. She will be here. And we have SZA going for a round 2. If you missed her once, don't miss her again. Yeah, this is super exciting. A lot more stuff coming up. This year does not end. We have spent
We're just getting started. It's April.
I know. It's only going to be more. And I'm here for it, honestly. This is the year for content.
Yeah.
And by the end of this year, already from what has been purchased and what I've already gone to, it's already like 6 or 7 concerts.
It's insane.
It's
Yeah.
going to be fun.
I could spend no more additional money and go to the most concerts in my life in 1 year.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah. Like it is.
The year of having jobs that can afford
With-
GA
yeah,
tickets
with-
to pretty much everything.
Yeah. Pretty,
Yes.
That's it.
We just need to
yeah.
get in the door. That's all.
That's
we
it,
just need
yeah.
to get in the door.
Yeah.
Yep.
But if you would like the unpaid nobodies to cover anything, we'll do anything, really.
We need to
Like,
set up a Patreon so people can pay for our
Yeah,
tickets.
yeah,
Go
pay
review
for-
this band.
Yeah, that's it. Dude, if you want us to review a concert, just send us tickets. Like,
And we will be
We'll be there. We'll make it happen.
ugh.
It's 106 miles to Chicago. It's dark out and we're wearing sunglasses. Let's hit it.
Yeah. Oh my god. That's a GOAT movie.
Yeah.
I remember there was this Twitter Twitter trend going on. It was like pitch a movie in 2 pictures.
Yeah.
And mine was the Blues Brothers and Run the Jewels. It
Oh
was
my
like-
god.
It
The
was
reboot
like-
we didn't know we needed.
like Killer Mike and LP in a remake of the Blues Brothers with the budget of Mad Max Fury Road.
So that would be amazing. But you know what would be a funnier version of that is those two Run the Jewels as the Duke Boys in Dukes of
Yeah,
Hazzard.
that's funnier. I just really hate the idea of them getting into the General Lee, but the General Lee is badass.
I know.
I
That's
know.
what them old
It's
Duke
the
Boys
one-
know. There
it's the
was in a
thing.
heap of trouble.
It's the one thing with the Confederate flag I still like. Like,
What a take. I'm clipping that. No, I'm clipping that. I am flipping that 100%.
Oh, to love the loser flag.
it's the one thing, dude. The Duke Boys, they hated cops. Like,
The first TikTok video.
No.
is gonna just be like,
no, I have the
literally
edit.
just that clip.
The fuck are you gonna do that? I'm the one with the editing files. Like,
Purvis is sitting over there filming the podcast on his screen
Recording
with
with
his
my phone the whole time.
gonna be like, B. Scavone exposed.
Insane take.
Serious Klansman.
our first reel goes
Yeah.
or reel. Our first TikTok video goes on like Keemstar.
I hate this.
Brandon would kill
I would
us.
fight the shit out of Keemstar. I want to let the Keemstar. If you're watching this right now, we'll fight. Like,
Not the battle of the beards.
yeah,
Oh shit.
the battle of the police baton up my in my sock.
Oh,
I just
not very Duke Boys of you.
Yeah,
Anyway, moving on.
not very
Kid
Duke
Cudi.
boys.
there's no way. There's no shot.
Kid Cudi.
Purvis. Purvis is ready to die. He looks ready to embrace death.
Brandon hates the government and just anything about the South. Just that clip alone is all I.
Oh
Watch
my
the
god.
full context. Don't be a cuck.
Anytime Revolution comes up, just boom.
Bonk.
Look, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if that car
Our
is
first
cool.
canceled clip.
I'll just put the stuff you said about Ice Spice last year.
Hey yo.
Okay.
What you mean she using her body?
All right.
But
Kid
as you
Cudi.
said,
Kid Cudi.
Kid Cudi featuring Disney.
featuring Disney.
Not
What
the other way
is this?
around.
I've never heard of this. What's going on?
We got you sent a link in the chat the other day. I didn't get to see it with sound, but it looks dope.
It's some movie that's coming out for Disney.
Oh, is it is
Basically-
it live action or animated?
Yeah, it's a live action
Live
movie
action.
with CG called Crater.
They are
And-
on the moon.
It is basically exactly that. Yeah, I have a feeling this is going to be After Earth, but actually bearable.
Yeah. After birth, more like it.
I mean, it's
That movie was bad. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
After that is
Will.
not a hot take. After Earth is trash.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Will. I'm sorry, Jaden.
It's one of the biggest box office flops of all time.
Yeah, it was.
Like you can statistically
Really
point
just
to that and
yes.
say this is one of the worst movies in terms of just sheer numbers. Like boom.
Not. I don't know. I don't know where I was gonna go with that. Not the Suicide Squad, or not the Suicide Squad, but Suicide
actually
Squad.
that's one of them, isn't it?
2016 Suicide
Yeah.
Squad. I mean, it made money, but it wasn't critically received
It
well.
was very poorly critically received.
But After Earth did really
Yeah.
poorly in box office and also got
Yeah.
panned, which is kind of rare.
Oh, give me a second.
Morbius.
Oh
did
yeah,
that.
no, that's really bad. Morbius
They-
bombed twice.
They got morbed.
Got morbed. They started morbing up,
So
and they got morbed.
So, Brandon, we're gonna go see. It's gonna be on Disney Plus. We should watch Crater for your birthday because it comes out May 12th.
Interesting. I'll be playing Legend of Zelda, but you guys can come over and do that while
Legend of Zelda.
Nice. God, I have a hot take about that.
But it's the
Uh-oh.
Vibecast.
Do we
Please.
need to veer into Zelda real quick? Are we
Yeah.
doing this
Sure.
right now?
2
I'm
minutes
here.
on the clock.
I am
though.
not excited for Breath of the Wild 2
Explain why.
Yeah,
or
go
Tears
on.
of the Kingdom because I put 60 plus hours into original Breath of the Wild, and as someone who grew up playing all the other Zelda games, it doesn't feel like a Zelda game. So for me, it just has like a disconnect. I don't know what it is,
Yeah,
but like
I don't know.
the mechanics and the inventory system and just the way it plays, it doesn't feel like what I've come to appreciate about the franchise. Plus, with all the super anti-consumer shit Nintendo's been doing right now, it is very hard to enjoy the idea of spending money on Nintendo shit.
You mean like
As someone who
paying
grew up with
their-
it.
You mean paying their employees a good wage?
No, I mean sunsetting the Nintendo eShop for no reason for
Yeah.
Wii U and 3DS so that all of their classic games can no longer actually be purchased and you have to have a Nintendo Switch Plus subscription to
Yeah, I
actually
mean,
play
like,
them.
That sucks, but that's also not something that every video game company doesn't also do.
Well, a few video game companies have a library, the breadth
Yeah, no,
and depth of Nintendo's.
Yeah,
So
no.
it's rare because it's like they're moving over to the subscription model for a console that's 6+ years old to
Yeah.
play titles that are 30 years old.
Yeah,
God, Switch is so bad. I'm sorry. It's such a dope concert,
Yeah.
but like,
no, it just needs. It's just
can't
old.
handle
It's just old. That's the thing.
Yeah, it's
My
up there.
my question for you, Jazz.
Mhm.
What Zelda games did you grow up playing? Because here's the thing. I respect that opinion,
Yeah.
but I think it definitely depends on which ones you were playing.
For sure. I mean, I grew up when I never had a GameCube growing up because my parents were very anti-video game, but I grew up playing like Wind Waker at friends' houses.
Okay.
And then I went back and played Ocarina on GameCube also because that was a
Yeah.
release. They did like the dual release for that. And then I played and beat the original NES Zelda a little later into my teens. And then all the while, like in grade school and then high school, I also had Twilight Princess. And then after that, Skyward Sword.
Yeah.
So all the 3D titles pretty much. And then like a couple of the GBA games, I did A Link to the Past.
Yeah.
And then I did like the NES versions, or, like
Yeah.
the NES games.
Yeah. So like I think like if you're definitely someone who comes into the Zelda franchise and you're like, I want expertly crafted dungeons, I'm like, okay, that's a pretty good criticism of Breath of the Wild.
Sure.
Which when a lot of people say they like the Zelda experience. To me, I liked Breath of the Wild because it felt like replaying the original Legend of Zelda again.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people have said
and
about
that
it.
was my touchstone for the franchise was that and Ocarina of Time, because that was the one that like came out when I was like a kid.
Yeah.
And I had a NES growing up. So
Yeah.
I had the legend, like the original.
Yep.
So like I'm actually replaying Breath of the Wild right now.
Mm-hmm.
On one end, like I do still fucking love it. I still think it's an amazing game.
It's a good game to be sure, but it's like
I get like why some people aren't as hot on it as others. Like
so what I'll say also is like the thing that I thought, and here's a hot take, right? Twilight Princess is one of my favorite games of all time.
That is a very hot take.
I know, but I'll tell you why. Right? This is a game that has a very narrow operating window in terms of the ability to unlock new tools and new techniques and things.
Yeah.
But when you do, the way you can chain everything together in ways that the game does not tell you about, but you just have to learn yourself. And that is something that is shared by Breath of the Wild, but they're done in two very different ways. One is you have a predefined set of mechanics and abilities that you can then interchange in all these different ways.
Extrapolate into infinity.
Yeah, exactly. The other way is that in Breath of the Wild, you are given all of these resources and all of these tools with zero direction. You just make stuff up as you go. So for me, I felt like it was hard to get into the styling of Breath of the Wild in that way because there was like almost decision fatigue where I was like, do I want to go this route and like build this and like learn, like do this with it and like use these environmental abilities with these bombs, whatever. Whereas like with the other one, it was like, okay, if I do like this exact motion, I can land this sword strike. But then if I press this combination, he'll then like do a jump that I didn't know existed before. Stuff like that, where it's like it's like playing Smash Bros versus like an open world game, where it's like you may not know about like a technique in Smash or like a combo, but then you learn it and it's like, wow, this completely changes the way I approach this game. Yeah. And Wind Waker had some of that. They had some of those mechanics going on when you learn like the count, like the parry or like the dodge roll parry or whatever it is. But Twilight Princess really, really expanded on that. And there were plenty of opportunities to flex your ability to like learn these systems. There's a challenge cave in that game where you have to go through 50 levels of challenges and do it without basically going back at all. Otherwise it fails.
Yeah.
And it's like a hidden cave in the middle of the desert. You just have to go find it. And it's just like, it puts you to the test. Like you could put 100 hours into the game and you will be tested 100%. And it's just like stuff like that where it's like, and God of War is like this too. Let's make you really, really good at chaining together these systems and just basically show off this masterclass of like a combat system we've built. Yeah. Whereas Breath of the Wild just is like a very different approach. Yeah. And I don't love like the temporary gear, like the idea that stuff breaks. It reminds me of Elder Scrolls a little bit, which is like, it's redeeming in some ways, but it's a lot of times it for me is annoying personally because I'm like, I just want to like do the thing.
Yeah, so like that's one thing where it's like, yeah, I totally understand the criticism. Like, I just want to do the thing, you know.
Yeah.
On the other hand, oh man, I think
I'm a story boy. I like Zelda for story. So for it to be like very gameplay focused on like you have to like explore this, it's less of my.
It's more or less the same story. Like
yeah, but it's ways that it's done, and there are characters that feel more and less fleshed out, and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like once again, like I think the breakable weapons is a stroke of genius because it forces you to interact with the entire world.
Yeah.
I mean, I know right now I'm playing another open world game, The Witcher 3, and it's like I'm loving it for the story. You know, I think the story is incredible. One of the best video game stories I've ever played. Fantastic.
Yeah. Not a hot take, no doubt there.
No doubt there. And like, don't get me wrong, I also do love the gameplay. I think it's very satisfying swordplay, some of the best. But it's like, oh, I know which runes I like. Like, you know, there's nothing forcing me to experience the rest of the game. And I think sometimes like when you're playing an RPG and you're trying to craft a character, like, yeah, like you don't want that. That's just going to be like
in the way.
In the way is an incredible way to put it. But like Breath of the Wild is all about like surviving. So I think it fits really well in the theme. But once again, like I can't get mad at anyone for like not enjoying that. And also,
Yeah.
like, I think the idea of like mechanics that you can just iterate on ad infinitum. Once they reveal, like, I was worried about Breath of the Wild 2 until like one of the more recent trailers where they revealed that like you can fuse things together and there's
Yeah, I saw it. The
millions.
machines.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's like millions of different machines you can craft, and it's like, Jesus Christ, this is gonna scratch my brain like no other.
So it's funny. I guess this is. I'm realizing that's just not something that I appreciate in video games because I had the same reaction to like I love Minecraft, right? But that's like you go in expecting that experience in some ways.
Yeah,
I am one of the biggest Metal Gear Solid fans I know.
yeah.
I did not appreciate Phantom Pain, which did exactly the same thing.
I never played Metal Gear Solid. It's a foreign language to me. I know they have great politics.
They're amazing.
I know that, but
I played most of them except for Guns of the Patriots because it's locked to PlayStation 3 because of development
yeah,
stuff. Thank you, Sony. Thank you, Kojima, whatever. But Metal Gear Solid 5 is like the exact same thing where it becomes this like semi-open world where you go in and like you run missions. And it's very similar to this other one called Peace Walker on PSP, which is one of my favorites. Where it's like you basically gear up, you go to a mission, you do the thing, you extract, and you get like points, money, you build your home base with it. But the way they do it in Metal Gear Solid 5, it's like these massive environments, borderline open world, and there's like tons of different ways to approach like every single challenge, depending on like what gear you take with you and everything else. And I would get so decision fatigued because like my way of doing it in like the old games wouldn't necessarily work because of like the different variables and stuff that were just like all new to the series, like the 5th game in or whatever, however many there are. And I was just like, man, I don't know. I get tired of like having to constantly iterate when it's like I'm looking for one experience from a series, I guess.
So I'm sure you hate Assassin's Creed.
Well, Assassin's Creed kind of does the opposite. It's the same gameplay that then adds like one gimmick every generation, right?
yeah.
Well, I'm saying like at least Assassin's Creed
Assassin's Creed 2. Now there are 2 blades.
no, I'm just saying.
Assassin's Creed 3. Now you're in America.
No. Actually, though, guys, that's not how the Assassin's Creed series goes. The Assassin's Creed series
I played the
revamped itself.
I know. I played a little bit of Origins, and I thought it was
Okay.
It was cool.
I mean, even Origins was still technically the old style of Assassin's Creed.
Was it? I'm pretty sure it was after the revamp.
It's
So,
like dynamics.
It's Origins is the start of the revamp. It's Origins, Odyssey, Valhalla, right? And
Yeah.
so
Right. After that, it completely changes.
I'm gonna keep it a buck. I love Viking history. I got my minor in history, focusing on like medieval and Viking. I put 100 hours into Valhalla. It doesn't feel like an Assassin's Creed game. It just feels like an action game.
Yeah.
It feels like an
No, that's
action
what I'm
RPG
saying.
game.
The
Yeah.
new Assassin's Creed's.
I also-
That one is less offensive because it plays the same. Like it plays the same way. A lot of the mechanics are still similar, especially because I play on PC.
On console, the night and day.
Yeah, and that's
Right.
the difference. It's like, yeah, it's a much bigger world and a lot of that, but there still is like the tactile feeling of playing the game is fundamentally the same, whereas the Switch is like a completely new experience relative to like what you played all the old Zelda games on in terms of like the controls and everything else.
No, disagree.
Well, I played them all with a GameCube controller. GameCube to like a Switch handheld is a very different experience.
Yeah, I think a Switch handle is just like pretty standard to like what
It's pretty neutral,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
definitely like the GameCube is a
Yeah,
very
the GameCube was a unique controller. I'll give
yeah.
you- the GameCube and the N64 were unique controllers.
About to say all of Nintendo controllers are stupid.
Yeah.
I like
mean,
them.
I thought
I like them a lot.
Yeah, me too.
Literally every single one.
Look. I still think the best controller of all time is, well, maybe not anymore, but like the 360 controller is still the best one of all time.
It's good. It's not as good as the Xbox One for me personally because my hands don't fit around the end of it.
You
as
know,
well.
I say that, and I only say that because one, I'm not an Xbox player, and I actually have an Xbox One controller, not an Xbox 360. So like, look, I play on PC. I need to keep a controller if I want to play a game that's better with a controller. So, and you know, that's half of games. The Witcher is a great example.
Some games are designed.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. That's why I always think it's crazy when people swear by controller for Call of Duty. I'm like, no, not at all.
Well, that's what the meta is because of how good the aim assist is. Unfortunately.
Well, yeah, because of the aim assist is. That's a huge fucking asterisk.
Yeah, I know, but that's like what all the pros.
Not to
will-
say that it's
will
just
do.
built into the game.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway,
Back to
wow.
news. Last piece of news, though. So
How have we not gotten through the okay? Last piece
it's a
of
lot
news.
of news. To be
We
fair,
talked about
is
Zelda.
fun.
That's
It
how.
is.
we would. Yeah.
The Weeknd is set to drop the Idol Volume 1. I don't even know what to expect because all I heard was live instruments in the studio.
So the Idol. This is. I'm going to reference Euphoria again. The Idol is a
Okay.
TV show coming out on HBO, starring The Weeknd and created by the people who did Euphoria. So this is a tie-in with that show.
Okay.
And the other thing is, and I can't believe this is real. When The Last of Us came out, I saw this conspiracy theory on the Reddit where it's like, like a proposed release date for Idol, this show, and it was going to be probably in like 2 or 3 months from now, and it looks like that's going to be the case because the theory was like, The Last of Us was like their first prestige show of the year. Last of Us finishes, and now Succession is on. And when Succession finishes, that's when the Idol will start. And this lines up with that theory perfectly. So I'm excited for it. I will definitely be watching the Idol. I'm an HBO on Sunday nights kind of person. I love having a show to watch.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up.
I mean, I just found out it was a show, so
yeah. No, you're gonna watch this one.
but
Yeah. I'm gonna make you. And yeah,
nice.
I would also say like don't expect a full Weeknd album experience from this because it's a tie-in with a TV show.
Okay, I'll take that then. All right, well,
All right, Jasper, play your game.
you made it. Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna move on to a little bit of a game here. This is something that I was kind of thinking about this week, and I thought would be a fun little thought experiment. So we were just talking about before the podcast about how, for better or for worse, AI tools continue to grow in popularity. Machine learning and open language models continue to become more powerful pretty much every day, and the space is evolving very quickly. So I had this idea, right? What if we kind of engage with that through our podcast? What if we were to review or critique generation from AI tools that is either image-based or text-based? In this case, we wound up going image-based. So here's how it's going to work. I'm going to present a total of, I think I have 10 or 11 AI-generated alternative album covers. So these are basically, I went in and I looked at existing AI art, and I also looked at generating prompts where I created alternate album covers for some of our favorite albums and just albums in general in hip hop. And the way this is going to work is that I'm going to put one up on screen. I'm going to share my screen. We're going to flip a coin right now to see who goes first. Whoever goes first.
Heads.
All right, let me do a coin flip.
I hate you, but tails never fails.
Nah, heads.
Yeah.
Heads. Purvis goes first.
Yes, sir.
All right. So the way it's going to work is you two are going to take turns. It's going to be Family Feud style. So Purvis, you're going to guess the first. You're going to look at the image. You're going to guess what album it is. If you get it wrong, pass this to Brandon. Brandon can steal. If neither of you get it, I can just tell you. We'll move on to the next one, and we'll repeat in the same order. Now, if you get it, next turn will be Brandon's time to shine, time to get one. And it's whoever gets the most wins nothing, because it's the future that we've all been dreading, and the robots are here to take all our jobs.
Yes, and this will be the only time we play this game. Like
two guesses each.
Yeah.
Like we do a guess.
Okay, yeah, we can
before
do that.
we move on.
All right. So let me share my screen, and I don't want to give away. It's tough. I need to figure out a way to do this where I can hide these. Okay, here we go. Nice. Okay.
I'm legally blind.
Share screen. We're gonna share screen number 1. There we go. All right. So yeah. I did share an image that I had generated previously earlier this week, and I'm gonna put it up just as an example for our audience to get a little feel for what we're doing here. If you're on Spotify, I apologize. We're not going to have, or we may actually have the visuals for this, right? Because we upload it.
I think it loads up
as video format. Never mind. So Spotify people, you're all good. YouTube people, we're all good. Very nice. So this is, I would say, the easiest one on the list. Just we kind of talked about it already.
Right. The
Yes.
But
Frank
This
Ocean Nostalgia
is
Ultra.
blonde.
Okay.
yeah. So the other thing I'm gonna do, if I can pull it up here.
Oh, I'm gonna have to remember album names.
Yes, you are.
Okay.
So once you guess it, I'll tell you if you're right or wrong, and then once somebody guesses it correctly, I will also tell you the prompt that I used to generate this particular image,
But
the verbal prompt. So
can
this
we have
prompt,
Spotify open?
I would prefer if you didn't, just for the
Okay.
sake of testing your noggin.
No.
Okay.
And here's the thing, right? It was very difficult to do this without just typing in like so and so album cover alternative, right? You can't really do that with these models because they're designed to go off of specifically the words that you're using.
Mhm.
So my prompt for this was photograph of an orange 1988 BMW E30 M3 parked on a California beach during a brilliant sunset with waves lapping at the shore.
No.
But
So that's the kind of prompt you need to feed this thing in order to return anything of general quality. The more specific you are, the better. Moving on, we're going to go into the first one here. Purvis, you're going to go ahead and go first. And again, we're going generally, I think, easier to harder in terms of visual fidelity and how true they are to the album.
but not all heroes wear capes. Metro Boomin. That's the name.
Correct. Yes. Very nice.
I didn't even listen to that album and I knew it.
There you go. Yeah. This one's a pretty true to life representation. My prompt for it is photograph of a jumping man silhouetted against a fiery explosion. A little more general, but you don't really need much more for such a simple cover.
It's true.
All right. Next up, we are going to go with somebody. Well, this one's pretty easy. Brandon?
I have no idea.
Use that associative brain. You can do it.
I have one idea, but I don't even know if it's close.
Yeah, no, I have no idea.
All right, Purvis.
Graduation?
Ooh.
Oh, is it late registration?
Oh,
You're warmer.
College dropout.
Oh,
then.
college
Yeah.
dropout.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. So this one is College Dropout. The prompt for this one is photograph of a school mascot head of a bear sitting on wooden bleachers in a gymnasium.
Yeah.
Huh.
But
Kind of like the back cover where he has the head off. Next up, we have one that honestly is pretty close to basically a direct rip of the original art.
God damn it, what's this stupid album called?
Yeah, I know what it's called. I know which album this is.
It's the Pop Smoke, something with stars.
Yep. It's a long name.
I don't know. I forgot. Brandon, what is it? Do you know?
I don't know. I've never listened. I only listened to the album once. I'm not the biggest Pop Smoke fan, but I know. It came out in May 2020.
It did. This
Yeah.
is shoot for the stars, aim for the moon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pop
That
Smoke's
was
debut
close
album,
enough.
R.I.P. And the prompt for this is black and white rose shining against a black background, digital art. So I specified the art style in there to give it a less
Right.
photographic look, ideally. All right. And then, so neither of you got that. Whose turn are we on? I don't know.
Brandon's technically.
Yeah.
All right.
He goes first.
This one's pretty easy. We'll just we'll call it a gimme. And I kind of threw this one in just for you because I knew you weren't the biggest on the whole AI game.
No. But this is clearly Run the Jewels 4.
I actually tried to make it like 2, but
Oh,
yes, it took
Yeah.
the color from 4 for sure.
That's interesting.
Close enough.
Yeah, and it didn't really do what I asked it to. I said digital art of 2 hands pointing at one another, one making a fist, one making a gun, and it basically every image was just 2 guns the entire time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe AI
Yeah, there
won't
you go.
take my job.
Exactly. There is hope.
Yeah. Well, like that's another one of like my criticism is that I still think AI is still like mostly bad. You know.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like,
Fair. All right. Next up, we got Purvis. A gift for you. What is it?
What's the name of this?
We're getting gradually more abstract.
It's on our take, Lil Uzi.
Correct. Very nice.
Figured.
Yeah. Everything that it
This
generated.
is the alternative one.
Yeah, everything that it generated was like, for this one, was way more abstract. So that was kind of the issue with it. I was like, wow, that really looks nothing like it visually, but all the elements are there.
Right.
So the prompt was 3 schoolgirls standing on a rocky planet in the lower foreground, watching a UFO hover over a large blue and orange planet with clouds covering much of the surface. And it gave me 4 girls instead of 3. It didn't put a UFO anywhere. And I don't know if I would qualify this as blue and orange planet. It's kind of an orange
close
planet
enough.
with like, yeah.
I mean,
It's-
if you give it to a
alright.
robot, that's what it's going to produce.
Fair
Well,
enough.
Yeah.
Orange.
Fair enough. All right. Brandon, one for you. We got this.
Is this Good Kid, Mad City?
Yes, it is.
Good.
This is one of my favorites that it generated,
Yeah.
to be honest.
It's a decent angle. I like that.
I could totally see this being like the centerfold of like the deluxe with the Chrysler minivan.
Mm.
So the prompt for this: fisheye photograph of a 1996 Chrysler Town and Country driving through Compton, California on a sunny day.
What?
And
Yeah.
at a glance, it looks like a real photograph, and then you look a little closer, and the edges are a little jagged, and there's some lost details. So
Yeah.
doing its AI thing. All right. Purvis, for you, we have this.
Oh, dilate. Obviously.
Immediately. And
So you
yeah,
ever see someone fucking flying in the black and white panel? It's
Just-
dilate.
getting yeeted. Yeah.
Like that Rocket Raccoon alternative cover that you guys.
Yeah.
So the prompt for that one: black and white photograph of a man doing a front flip over a large crowd of people
Yep.
at an alternative music venue. All right, and then
Do a flip.
no. Brandon, for you,
What?
Oh no, what is this?
I tried really hard with
Yeah,
this
this is
one.
because the internet, isn't it?
It is. It didn't give me what I wanted at all.
Yeah.
No.
That looks like more because of dial-up.
Literally, because of T1 connection.
Yeah.
Photograph of a man in a Hawaiian shirt against a gradient background, soft pink lighting was the prompt. Purvis, for you, we're getting more abstract with it.
The heck is it? Train.
So look at what's in the image, right? It's the back end of a car. There's a engine of a train, and then
This is so stupid. I know what this is.
and then it's got a bunch
This
of
is
greenery in the
way
background.
off. This is heaven or hell, right?
It is not heaven or hell.
Really?
Correct, yeah. Brandon,
What is it?
any guesses? A chance
Is
to
it-
steal?
Call me if you get lost.
It is. It is Call Me If You
I
Get
don't
Lost.
even know.
My
What
thought
the cover
process
looks like.
was trees, and then the song Lumberjack. That's as far as I went. Like,
I
So,
literally
When I
no.
came up with this one, when I came up with the prompt for this one, I was thinking about the Sir Baudelaire video where he's on the train, brown sugar salmon, and he's like trying to get fed. It's like he's taking the train across Europe. And so there's like the trains in Switzerland. He was in Switzerland with all the images and whatever, and then it's got the Rolls Royce. So I basically said vintage green Rolls Royce parked next to a steam locomotive in the beauty of nature, Switzerland. And it gave me a green locomotive, and I can't really tell what color this car is.
No, I got nothing.
All right, we're getting down to, well, there's one left that's decent, and then some others that are just really bad. So I guess Brandon, you stole Purvis again to you.
Oh, Jack Boys.
Nope,
No,
you're close though, Brandon.
close, you say.
Similar art,
Is
same
it-
artist.
Is this heaven or
Open
hell?
Car.
It is all. It is not heaven or hell.
Yeah.
Purvis, round 2.
I mean, it's not rodeo. It's not
Mm?
Bearsnake Trout. I feel like what is the rodeo cover? Is this rodeo? What's the rodeo
it's
cover?
the Travis figurine standing on top of the black monster truck on the white background.
Oh, there's just no figurine, and it's not a monster truck.
Yeah, this is rodeo. So
yeah, they didn't do that one right then.
no, the prompt for this one was photograph of an action figure in a toy Lamborghini with the doors open. It got the perspective down for a toy. You've got like the blurring here at the top and bottom that makes it look small. And it looks like plastic, but they just didn't do anything with the figure.
Right.
Like
It's
how-
not the right figure
yeah.
placement or the truck.
Well,
it's a Hummer, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I deliberately said Lamborghini because that's like something
Oh, okay.
Travis is known for, is like the
I gotcha.
Lamborghini. So like the idea was like it's like an alternate version where it doesn't have exactly the same elements. I didn't want to make it too easy because most of this has been pretty easy for both of you.
Yeah.
All right, now we get to some real shit. Here we go. Brandon, for you.
Long live ASAP.
No, but that's a good guess. Look at the buildings. Where does it look like?
New York. That's why I said that.
Oh, this is actually
Is this
a
supposed to be
building.
Chicago?
Yeah, this is a building on the
Yeah.
corner of Michigan Avenue.
Is this Chance the Rapper?
Yeah.
It is.
Is this the big day?
No, it's Chance 3.
Oh.
And the prompt for this one was, and it got it totally wrong. Totally wrong, I tell you. Chance the Rapper sitting on top of a train car riding through downtown Chicago. And it didn't do the train car. It just did a car. And
I see.
the
You
idea was
sound
like
a music video.
the Angels video. Like if there were a
Yeah.
cover associated with like that. So yeah, that's pretty much it as far as the
Yeah.
ones we actually had. I will show you a silly one though. This
Show
is
us
what
a silly
happened
one.
when I tried to make a cover based off of the name of an album. So I basically said Pusha T Daytona alternate album cover, and it gave me this.
Yeah.
Not great. So
It's made up some words.
yep, or I don't know if this is a word, but you know,
All right, bet.
Veminolia. So yeah, that is AI or die, I guess. Good
There are
job.
advancements.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of them are fun, others not so much, right?
Yeah.
I really like that Good Kid, Mad City one, Frank Ocean one.
Yeah, some come
Rester.
out good.
Rest are
Yeah.
okay. We're not quite there.
Yeah.
The artist is still the artist.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's
100%.
my ultimate issue with AI is that like it's very clear it doesn't have a POV.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Like I hear the argument, especially about visual AI a lot, is that like, oh, like how is like just gathering influence from thousands of pictures and like generating something from it? How is that different than an artist? And in some ways, like I think that's a valid observation.
Sure.
But like there's no lens, you know? It's like
Yeah.
the Good Kid Mad City one, like, yeah, that's cool. I definitely see it
No,
as
it
like
was good, yeah.
I see it as like a decent compliment piece. Like Jasper described it as like, oh, you open up the double album and that's that. Like, yeah, I think it would totally work like that. You know. The Run the Jewels one just did them dirty though. Like
Run the Jewels
It
when
looks
they run
like
out
a-
of when
it
they run
looks
out of
like-
fingers, it's
it
gonna
looks
be
like
bad.
two weirdos fighting in an X-ray. Like all right, so we
Finger
originally
guns.
had like two other topics we wanted to talk about, but we'll leave mine for another episode because I think
That's
it's
fine.
a little bit more evergreen because it's a ongoing problem with the culture.
True.
But we had an unpaid nobody's field trip this week.
We did. It was fun.
We did. Yeah, we
Tuesday
went.
night.
Yeah, Tuesday night we went and we saw Air, courting
So
legend. Now,
So good.
first question I have for you guys: does this movie need that subtitle?
Referring to what subtitle?
The official title of the movie is Air Courting a Legend.
I mean,
That's actually kind of dope.
I don't know.
I mean,
like,
it's-
I don't think
it's-
it's the worst thing in the world, but I think it's kind of lame.
I thought my puns were bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's not necessary. No, in terms of the question, no, it's not necessary.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's there. It's okay.
But yeah,
I'm
it's
good.
not the worst subtitle of all time. That definitely goes to.
There we go.
Alien vs Predator 2. Like, so what were you guys' thoughts? Because like this is like my bread and butter. I love going on podcasts and talking about movies. But you guys are, especially Jasper, know a lot more about this world than I do.
Yeah,
So
I
like,
will say, in terms of just like the story and everything
yeah,
that came together, I love the concept. As
yeah,
like the annoying business person in the group with like the love for shoes and basketball, like this scratched everything.
yeah,
Like I literally left the theater thinking like I need to find a job that I actually care about
yeah. No, definitely. I
because
think
it will make your daily life worth it.
100%. I couldn't agree with that more. Like, it definitely
Mhm,
shows like what it's like to have something you build, how like what it feels like to have like ownership over what you do. You know,
mhm.
like even if you're working for a private company, like you've still like that Matt Damon's character whose name eludes me. Um,
That's
It's
sunny.
Sonny Vaccaro.
yeah, Sonny Vaccaro. Like
Mhm.
he took ownership over like what he was able to do at Nike, and later on too, because I think what he did for the NCAA was dope. Uh, but
Extremely.
yeah, no. As someone who's just looking at this from like a movie perspective, and like being a big fan of Ben Affleck as a director, I was really satisfied. I thought this was great. I'm really struggling to think of any critiques.
I mean, honestly, for what the concept is,
Yeah,
because it's not. If you do not care about Nike, if you do not care about basketball, obviously it's not something that you should go into with like a very closed-minded
yeah,
concept or closed mindset, I should say.
yeah,
Because like in reality, if you actually approach it for what it is, like there's not a lot of movies that's like this. Like you said, I think you compared it to The Social Network, which like I get that, or like you have like
yeah,
the talking movies.
yeah. Or like
It's not
yeah, it's a movie about people talking in rooms. And
exactly.
like this is a movie, this is an R-rated movie for adults with a budget over $100 million that is under 2 hours. That is not something that is made anymore. And
That's a rarity.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that used to be Hollywood's bread and butter. But I have a feeling that has to do with the unique way this movie was made, which I will be talking about later.
Hmm.
Purvis actually included a great touch point for that.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I mean, it's just I think for what it's intended to be, I think it's phenomenal.
yeah.
Honestly.
So to you, like
Um,
just as a movie, 2 hours of entertainment, you think it worked? Like
Yes,
you,
I think it does work. Even though I have the background of basketball, I have the background of shoes, I have the
yeah,
background of just corporate America and what it's like
yeah,
growing up in corporate America. But like, it does a great job at actually entertaining and bringing in a lot of different perspectives. You don't have to know what a Jordan 1 is or how
yeah,
it's made.
yeah. Because like the characters, and they're all based on real people, as far as I know.
Hmm.
And I think fidelity to real life is a really shitty way to analyze a movie. Uh, but I think the characters, as they're drawn within the story the movie tells, they're like really engrossing and like really easy to just like attach to. And
Hmm.
like, so like one of the first things like you learn about like when you do screenwriting is like your character always needs to have like a goal like in front of them, and the audience has to know what that is, right?
Hmm.
And I think like, oh, this is like a movie that really, really understands that fundamental like piece of storytelling in that it knows exactly where it's going scene to scene.
I think I didn't even think about it that way because I remember when we were talking about it in terms of just like the pacing.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't have the background of film, so I didn't even consider that concept. But just thinking about how a movie paces from start to finish, did it just the thought of knowing where you're going within the story and you know how the characters actually think, I think that's another great perspective to the story.
Yeah. And like, you know, it kind of actually reminds me of another Ben Affleck movie, right? It reminds me of Argo in a sense.
Yeah.
Because
Hmm.
like in Argo, the same way it's like, wow, this is a movie about sitting in rooms that is like incredible to watch. Argo, the finale of Argo is six people sitting on a plane and seeing if they make it out of airspace, right? It is quite literally like the most boring footage ever. But the way it's edited, put together, like the way the music ramps up and everything, it is
And
like,
everything that leads up to it,
and everything that leads
there's
up.
context.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
build is incredible. It's like an amazing finale that you forget you're watching Ben Affleck sit on a plane, and that is essentially the plot point you are getting, right? So and I think like, and the other thing is that like you know that he makes it out. Like if you know history, you know
Hmm.
he makes it out, but it's still riveting,
Yep.
right? You know, like my parents are excited to see this movie because it's a movie for adults. Like, so
It is.
they don't watch basketball. They don't buy Nike or Jordans. But they know Michael Jordan gets that shoe deal. Like, but they walk in and you're entertained all throughout. And that's like a special talent. Like, that's like a really hard line to walk. And I think this movie walks that line really well.
I mean, it's just a really good story to tell in general because,
Yeah.
like you said, for someone who may not know the full background to how Jordan even signed with Nike or just how he was drafted and going to the Bulls or whatever, like painting the actual picture to fill in the gaps, they do phenomenal. And
Yeah.
that's one thing that like really stuck to me when I was watching the movie, and I'm pretty sure you'd notice. But just like growing up black in a black family and like seeing how his mom interacts with other people
Yeah.
and protects her son and demands certain things, and
Yeah.
just like how the relationship with her and the husband goes. It's literally just sitting there just like,
Yeah.
man, I get it. Like,
Yeah.
like I
Dude,
feel this.
Viola Davis, Jesus Christ, what a good actress.
Amazing.
She
So
is.
good.
She is just a block of genuine kindness in this movie, and also the most intimidating person I've ever seen. Like,
And that is black women for you.
that's exactly what Rachel said. Like, like
it is perfect.
because like the whole time, like when she's talking to Sonny, it feels very genuine. Like you get the sense that Mom Jordan, I forget her first name, like
Dolores.
yeah, Dolores Jordan, you get the sense that she genuinely likes Sonny and she genuinely likes these people, but that's not going to get in the way of her doing right by her son. And that's what makes it so admirable.
100%.
Yeah. Jazz, what about
just
you?
thinking about how that, like, sorry, I'm just thinking about how that changed the entire everything.
Yeah.
Changed the entire shoe market, the entire industry.
Yeah.
Just the concept of someone signing and like, my name's on this, I want rights to the money.
Yeah.
Blows up the industry.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And I mean, it's been done since in other industries where a precedent's been set, and it's been followed ever since. It's been beneficial to everybody who's involved in that from an athletic standpoint and a creative standpoint. It's super cool to see. I really liked it a lot. I think a lot of my takeaways and associations were actually pretty different, just with a little more of the context around the history there. Even though it's a movie about basketball shoes, I felt like I wanted to go running after I watched it.
Mhm.
That's super fair. That's
Nike's a running shoe company.
That's and I think like the movie does a really good job of like giving the gravity of what Air Jordan would come to mean, but also like reminding you of that, like what Nike was before it.
Yeah, and there were a lot of things that went into that. The shots in Phil Knight's office, where you have the original Bill Bowerman waffle trainer running shoes in the back, which Bill Bowerman famously developed by creating a treaded outsole, putting rubber in his waffle press to create the track that would then become the bottom of a sprinting shoe. Having those original blue and yellow pair in the background is insane because those are a piece of history. And then also like they did it multiple times where they were showing like an opening shot where it was like the hallway and there were images of this one runner repeated 3 or 4 times. And I'm sure that both of you kind of saw it and didn't think of anything of it, but that's Frank Prefontaine, who was a huge, huge deal in the running community. He went to University of Oregon. He was like the world record holder for the collegiate level in like the 60s, and I think it was maybe into the early 70s, or maybe no, it was maybe the very late 60s. This dude was built to run. He was like, he held all these records. Physiologically, he was there for it. He was like the Michael Phelps of running at the college level at the time.
Oh, that's an
and then he tragically died in a car accident where he flipped his car over and he got crushed inside it.
Oh, God.
So he became like this martyr in a sense, kind of, for Nike, because he was like their golden boy for a long time, and he actually like knew Phil and people who Phil worked with through like the university program, including Bowerman, because Bowerman was the coach originally for the school, the running coach. And to see him referenced in the movie and not just be like having that whole history of running cast aside because it's a movie about basketball, I thought was really nice to see.
Yeah. No, that's a really great takeaway.
I do think there were some omissions made for the sake of dramatic effect that I think have pretty much been proven to be the other way. One thing I mentioned in the theater was that toward the end there's a section where they talk about the swoosh, like the logo.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they have the conversation. Matt Damon and Ben Affleck's characters have the conversation of like, what is the swoosh? It's a sound. What is the sound of? I don't know. Phil Knight's book actually details a whole section about how when they were selling the idea of the swoosh as a conceptual logo, it was the sound of someone running past you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they just didn't include that, which I don't know why, but maybe at the time, I mean, this was in the 70s when they were marketing it that way, according to Phil Knight's book.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things where it's like little stuff like that, but
Yeah.
lots of fun details to look for as well. Another thing that I really liked at his little desk, Sonny Vaccaro's monitor, on top of it is a blue Shelby Cobra die-cast car.
Yes, I noticed that. That was very fun.
Ford versus Ferrari, baby.
Yeah. Ford versus Ferrari is one of the best constructed movies I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's excellent.
But I've never had the desire to see it again. I probably will now. Now that I've seen this one.
Seen it twice.
Yeah. But like
it's
yeah.
It's very intense. As someone who like is very into motor racing, much more so than any like American sports, because motor racing's, let's be real, it's not really an American sport anymore. At least not in the same ways.
I have no point to argue it. It sounds
it's
I don't know
intense
enough about
because
baseball is America's sport. That's all I know.
Ken Miles is a legend who was robbed and then taken very soon after, unfortunately. So it's intense. I'm pretty sure I did shed a tear in the theater the first time I saw it.
Yeah.
It was like, it's a moment. That movie's 2.5 hours of build and build and build and build.
No,
so
that's an expertly constructed movie. But James Mangold's an S-tier director.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I am not a motorsports person. But that movie's fantastic. And like it got me riveted in it. And I noticed that Easter egg and like I forgot about it, but
yeah.
I saw it and I like made a little laugh. I like I just noticed it.
Yeah.
I really thought they did an excellent job recreating the late 80s.
I was literally about to say creating the world. Yep.
Or
And like
mid 80s, yeah.
And like something that I've learned, like just like a lot of like things I've learned about movies just comes from like listening to directors talk, watching commentary tracks, watching documentaries on how movies get made.
Oh, yeah.
Like one of the things that like I learned watching The Social Network is that the 80s, 90s, and especially post 2000s are the hardest periods to recreate because like getting the right monitors and getting the right television sets is like damn near impossible. Like you can just make a log cabin. You can just make a sword. You know, you can just make like a castle. But like getting, you know, it was in the commentary track for The Social Network, like during the scene when he's smashing the laptop. And it's like, we had to shoot that scene 10 times. We had to get 10 like MacBooks from 2006 that looked new enough to be working at Facebook. And that's way harder than building a castle. You know, like,
yeah, the sourcing because there's just no preservation for that like there is for other industries, and it's terrible.
Yeah, and
everything is just designed to become waste.
Yeah, and like, yeah, exactly, and yeah. So I thought the way they actually pulled it off in this one, fantastic. Another movie that does like really meticulous, like down to the year, like world building, I guess you would say, is Uncut Gems. Like that is the most 2014 movie that has ever existed. Like,
that's up there for me with like American Hustle being like an icon of the 70s.
Yeah, I think American Hustle is much. Like, I like American Hustle a lot, even though I'm not a huge fan of David O. Russell.
Yeah.
Not like I hear he's a shitbag too, but like I just think most of his movies are kind of masturbatory. But I like American Hustle much more than everything else. And I feel like that's more like a distillation of the 70s, where this feels like
for sure
in the year. Like,
but you look at like you look at the sets for like like Taxi Driver, and you look at the sets for American Hustle, and there's aside from the film quality, there's not a whole lot to discern. It's
Yeah.
like one is a little more bombastic, but it's
Yeah.
pretty true to life as far as like what
Visually.
New York at the time looked like.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. You got me on that. If I have one complaint about this movie, and it's just, it was what my expectations were going into it. Now, granted, like, I'm the kind of person that if I'm sold on a concept for a movie, I just don't go out of my way to see the trailer. You know, like when I heard Ben Affleck is directing a movie about the Nike Air Jordan deal, I'm like, my ticket's sold. Like, I don't need to see a trailer. I don't need to see anything. I'm going to go see that movie. So I had thought going into it was going to be about the creative and designing of the Air Jordan. And not so much on the selling it to Michael Jordan. Now, is that actually a criticism of the movie? Not at all. It's just, I think that's also like a ripe, that more of a process-oriented story around that time period probably could exist independently of this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really good. There were a lot of very smart decisions made to, I think, keep it from eventually aging poorly, and then also to make it relatable, and yet at the same time, I guess, accessible to a more mainstream audience. And I think that one of the best things that they did that apparently they caught a lot of flack for was not showing Jordan at all.
Really?
I thought that
I loved that. I thought it was amazing.
I loved it.
Such a smart decision, and like
keep it off of the obvious goat.
I thought it's such a smart decision.
So Ben Affleck answered a question about this at a panel where he's like, "No, don't go to this movie expecting to see like young, digitally enhanced Michael Jordan, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, the reason we did it is because there's no actor alive who can portray Jordan to the same level that he exists in all of our minds as an icon.
Yeah.
So like, why the hell would we even try?
Yeah.
And I was like, this is amazing.
That's fair.
No, I think that's an excellent filmmaking decision. And I also think it doubles down on the strongest point of the screenplay, which, just because like the writing in this movie is fascinating.
It is,
especially like with the way artist equity, and I'm going to get into that right now. But the main creative decision that the screenwriter made for this movie was that the parents, especially the mother, were going to represent Michael Jordan. And I think that was such a smart story, such a smart way to get around that. How do you put Michael Jordan in a movie?
Yeah, and
like
that is how it went. Yeah. I mean,
and that's like
Dolores Jordan made him go to Oregon. He didn't want to even meet with Nike.
I would say all that's fairly accurate. Anyway, he did not want to sign to Nike.
Yeah.
And then even when he did, he thought that the shoes were ugly. He didn't like the red and black and red and white of Jordans at the time. Yeah, because he liked Carolina colors. Yep. Even though he was on the Bulls, he didn't like the red, and he thought they were satanic or like devil colors.
Oh, that's hilarious.
But Mama knew better.
And too bad. Like those are iconic shoes. What are you gonna do about it?
The best color combination for Jordans. I'm sorry.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
It's like maybe you play for the Wizards.
UNCs are very close though.
No, they're not.
UNCs are very.
They're not. They're not.
UNCs are nice. The baby blue. You don't like the UNC colorway?
But when you think of a Jordan 1.
Oh, I'm not. Obviously, the Jordans ones. That's what I'm saying. The Chicago Jordan ones are the classic. But like, you getting like a Chicago 4 UNC, Chicago 3 UNC. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean they're all right. I feel like UNC 3s and 4s are more of a new thing. When I think of UNC, I think of UNC 1s.
That's right.
But that's true. I feel like the non-OG colorways I have a harder time with, just on a lot of the later models.
Yeah.
But that's just me. I wore my red cement 3s to the office today, and those are definitely not OG. But they say Chicago on the back, which is fire, so I wore them.
It's close enough.
Yeah.
All right, so I kind of want to break down a part of this movie that I think is very fascinating.
Okay.
And I just want your guys' reaction to it, because like as everyone can tell, like I'm a bit of a worker advocate, and I like things that are produced ethically. And this movie was the first movie produced by Ben Affleck and Matt Damon's production company, Artist Equity.
Mm-hmm.
And their whole thing is that they're about equity for the artists. They're about giving more of the budget to both the crew and the creative names behind it. And yeah, you can do that when it's the creative names behind it are Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, literal Hollywood royalty. Right? But when it comes to the writer, I think they put their money where their mouth is, and it just primed me to like this movie. So the writer, I'm unfamiliar with his name. I'm not pulling anything up. I never do. But this was his first screenplay. He was not working as a writer. Like many of us, he was raptured by The Last Dance, and he wrote this movie, right? Now, when you write a movie, and the movie was on the blacklist, that's a list of, like, it's like a competition. You submit your screenplay, and like the best unproduced screenplays of the year win. This one, there was a bidding war. Ben Affleck picked it up.
Alex Convery.
Alex Convery, yes, thank you. So
he doesn't even have a Wikipedia page.
Yeah. So naturally, when Ben Affleck picks up your movie, he's going to do a pass on it. And then when you have actors of this magnitude get on, them and their writers all take a pass on it. Olivia Wilde's people took a pass. Not Olivia Wilde. Viola Davis. Jesus Christ, different people.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Can you imagine if Michael Jordan's mom was played by Olivia Wilde?
Very, very different.
But
That's
very
like those
different.
memes. That's like those memes where it's like BJ Novak is the notorious B.I.G.
Yeah.
Like some shit like that.
That's like Ryan Gosling is Malcolm X. Like,
yeah, literally that.
yeah. But so Viola Davis's people took a pass. Chris Tucker took a pass. Right. All these people rewrote that script. So the final script we see in the movie is not an accurate depiction of what he wrote, having just watched The Last Dance. The main creative decision was to not involve Michael Jordan at all and to really focus on Sonny Pacone and the parents and not
Vaccaro.
I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And not even to necessarily put Phil Knight so forward. So those were like the main creative decisions that survived. Now, normally in any other Hollywood movie, what would happen is that would go to a process called arbitration, where they would decide like who did what, you know, and that would depend on who gets paid out, right? So if you ever go to a movie and it says like screenplay by writer X, screenplay by writer A, written by, you know, story by writer B, you know, or you have all those credits, that's what happens, right? So put yourself in the shoes of this writer. It's his first movie, and 6 people have taken passes, and your screenplay is kind of unrecognizable. You have arbitration is your worst fucking nightmare. And Ben Affleck took him aside and said, no, you're an artist equity. We're not going to arbitrate. You get the sole credit and you're going to get the sole payout. So to me, like, to do that for a guy who was literally not writing before, I've been writing screenplays longer than this guy. Like,
Which is,
yeah, like,
this is like the super fair thing to do, because you look at how books and other media are interpreted into films, and based on the story by or based on the book by tends to carry that same weight. But for whatever reason, then the arbitration process just picks apart anybody who writes the original screenplay.
Yeah. And then, yeah, you know, when it's an adaptation, it's a little bit more complicated. But this is mostly for, you know, usually, like, if you're writing something like this or The Social Network, it's considered original, even if it's... The Social Network was based on a book, but, like, I don't know.
He could have written it as a short story, and it would have been, like, with a different agency, it would have carried more weight than it would in, like, the traditional Hollywood sense, I think, which is unfortunate.
Sure. I don't follow. I'm sorry.
No, I'm saying, like, if he had just prefaced it as, like, oh, it's not actually a movie script, it's a short story about the signing of Michael Jordan, then, like, he getting the credit as, like, original story by would be different than, like, screenplay by.
Yeah,
in the case of arbitration.
Yeah, because, like, if you buy, like, the rights to a thing, like, you have to give credit to, like...
Yeah.
So J.K. Rowling never touched a Harry Potter script in those original movies, but her name's on every single one of them.
My favorite recent example of that is the movie that came out in 2021, The Black Phone, the horror movie.
Yeah.
That movie is super, super good, and it was originally based on a short story. It's like a short horror story.
Yeah.
But it's like an hour and a half starring Ethan Hawke, and it's just like, it's a quick thing by this guy named Joe Hill who grew up in Maine, and it's a story about kids growing up in, like, the 70s.
Do you know who Joe Hill is?
I don't know him well, no.
He's Stephen King's son.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah.
That explains
So
the main part
that's a massive factor in that.
for sure.
Yeah,
But
like
the fact that it's a short story and he still gets credit for being like the story writer as opposed to like, oh, he's just some guy who happened to like contribute to a screenplay.
yeah. Well, Joe Hill
is-
also works. He's like George R. R. Martin, like in those first few like seasons of Game of Thrones, where he was actually in the writers' room.
Gotcha.
So Joe Hill, works on a bunch of. I'm a fan of Joe Hill. I think he's a really good horror writer.
You should see the Black Phone then.
I had no idea he was involved with it. So
Yeah, it's his story. So
Oh.
it's really good.
Is it on a streaming service?
Yes, it is.
Is that streaming service Shudder? Because that's a horror movie service I don't have, but otherwise.
So I saw it on Prime. I think it's
I got
included
Prime.
with a Prime subscription. Yeah.
Oh hell yeah! I'll look into that. Is it?
Yeah,
quick question: is it like gory? Like gore is like.
No, it's got jump scares.
Okay.
It's less of like it's got supernatural elements, but it's mostly about like a serial killer.
Okay, cool. I can handle that. That's like my one thing. I can do jump scares, especially in the privacy of my own home. But
Yeah,
like
right.
I can't do gore. Like even
Yeah.
even Tarantino movies. Like
Really?
I was in a car accident as a kid. I
True.
lost all my teeth and half the skin on my face. And
True.
The ambulance put me in front of a mirror because they thought I was passed out.
Jesus.
I have the lowest. I have the lowest tolerance for gore there is. Cocaine Bear was too much for me. Like I stepped out of Cocaine Bear for like 10 minutes.
Really?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was just.
That's
gratuitous.
Yeah. Well, it's the movie. It's the movie it wants to be. It's just I thought it wanted to be a different movie. Like,
right. Yeah.
But yeah, no. So Purvis had a note in here like, do we think this is like one of the best debut scripts ever? And in some sense, yeah, I genuinely do. The other sense is that like maybe as cool as it is, as much as it's putting his money where his mouth is, as far as like being fair to other creatives, we don't know like what that initial screenplay looked like. Now, Here's the thing. Here's the good news though. Typically with movies like this, especially around award season, they put those screenplays out for free. I have 1,000 screenplays that I obtained for free legally. Like,
nice.
So this is the first movie in a long time, because I've kind of moved past screenwriting for right now, that I'm like, oh, I want to get my hands on this script. So, and I would love to do a back-to-back read of like the original and the shooting script. Because like, for example, Chris Tucker's character is just real dude, but he just was not in the first draft of that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It would be kind of dope to see how it would even work without him.
Yeah.
Because he's a main character. Not a main, but like he's a major character.
No, he's a major. Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like when you rewrite these movies, you think about it from like the ground up,
Mm-hmm.
And that's why like Chris Tucker's character that was added in rewrites feels so organic. But yeah, did you guys have a favorite performance?
Dude,
and you can't say Viola Davis.
Every scene with Matt Damon and Ben Affleck going back and forth, debating.
Yeah.
Super good.
Yeah.
Quick, very well written. I suppose the Dalai Lama has a purple Porsche.
I love that line. That line was
brilliant.
So good.
Brilliant.
That was rude.
Yeah.
That was rude.
And immediately Phil Knight's like, fuck you.
Yeah. Was Phil Knight that tall?
I don't know, actually.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
He's definitely shrunk in his old age.
Oh, another really, really cool detail is the guy who plays Michael Jordan's father is Viola Davis's actual husband.
That's sick.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah, that's super cool. I
like
love
that.
it. I love it when they do that. And also, he killed the role in his own right. Like
Phil Knight is 5'9", by the way.
Yeah, I remember because like one of the things, and once again, like Jasper, feel free to correct me, but I think we talked about this already. One of the things I know is different from real life is like spoilers for this movie based on real events. Is that at the idea of him like having a percentage is like introduced as like this third act twist.
Yeah.
But in real life, that was more of like the lead.
Mm-hmm.
And have you guys seen, what was it? Winning Time?
No.
So Winning Time it's fantastic. It's a series on HBO about the Lakers in the early 70s.
Okay.
And Phil Knight is in one of the episodes trying to get Magic Johnson to, the Air Magics, as they said. And like in that one, they're like, we don't have any money, but we can give you a piece of every shoe. Like, and I remember looking it up and being like, nope, that was the real part. That was like, so I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the details of this. It's tough because yeah, they make it in the movie as though it's this like
Third
surprise
exploit,
thing that they're asking for, but I can't recall whether or not they actually approached him with that offer.
Yeah.
And I'm having trouble finding it right now, just looking around.
We can talk about it next week or something.
Right.
But yeah, no, I enjoyed this movie a lot. I know it's going to be fast and loose with the details, but like I think a movie is ultimately about telling a story and entertainment, and I think it should always prioritize that. No one ever walks out of a boring movie thing like, well, that was accurate. It's like maybe if it's a documentary. Like,
I don't know. Have you seen The Imitation Game?
Yes, I thought it was pretty subpar on its own right.
Yeah, and that movie is less than 50% of like true to life occurrence and is like heavily embellished.
Yeah, but let's dissect what you just said. Right?
I know.
Like,
I know.
You can't boil down the accuracy of something to 50%.
But what I'm saying is that begs the question, right? It's like if we have to radically interpret things to make them palatable for a screen audience, for a mainstream audience, should we be making big budget movies about them? I think there's a question to be asked there too, right?
Sure.
It's like,
sure,
because you want to be authentic to something, but you also want to make money. Those two don't always.
Well, like I resent any filmmaker who makes any decisions based on what's going to make the most money. That's the studio's job.
Yeah, well, that's
But, like,
I mean, producers are in that vein. Come on,
Yeah.
like.
Well, it depends if it's a producer or an executive producer.
Sure.
Those are two very different roles.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, you say that, but I can just counter with like The Social Network is like basically fiction.
Yeah.
And I also think Aaron Sorkin, when he wrote that movie, I think he understood Facebook better than anyone else at the time. Like when you go back and you rewatch that movie, like I think nonfiction can give you facts. I think fiction gives you truth. And I think sometimes, like maybe that deeper truth is worth it. But even that, like, I think making a movie that is like entertaining and like has something to say, like as a piece of art, the same way if it was, you're making Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is just, a sci-fi movie. Like you should just, it should have the same tendencies. You should always prioritize like what makes the best movie, not what's the most accurate way to dispense this information. Now, if you're able to do that and make a good movie, it certainly helps. I'll say that. I'll say like it's a multiplier. If you can,
For sure.
if you can make it accurate and good, that's great. That's better than one of the things. But once again, like I don't think I walk out of a movie like Lincoln. Well, Lincoln's incredible, but like I'm having trouble pulling examples right now. We've been going for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We want to give this movie a grade.
I was considering it.
We could do it. Yeah. One other minor thing that I do have a gripe with is like they were really, really good, but anytime I see Ben Affleck or Matt Damon in a movie, it kind of takes me out of it just because they are so damn recognizable. It's like, oh, hey, it's Matt Damon being Matt Damon.
That is completely fair. That is.
I mean, Matt Damon like acts, but a lot of his mannerisms and a lot of his line delivery, especially for humor, is very similar movie to movie. I think.
I agree. I think Ben Affleck is especially in this movie. I think Ben Affleck like did the better, like more immersive performance.
Sure, yeah, I think that's valid. Yeah. But like it's this camp of actors where every time I see like these particular actors, it like takes me out of it, either because they're super famous and they've been in everything, or because like
they're exactly the same as the previous character.
That or visually they're just like very recognizable. So like I don't know, like George Clooney is one of them for me.
That makes sense.
Someone who isn't, which I think is a real testament to his ability to actually act, is Brad Pitt. Like Brad Pitt, I can get into a little bit more as far as like him being the character.
Brad Pitt's a character actor. Like Brad Pitt's a
For
pretty
sure.
boy, but that is a golden take, I say.
Yeah, I mess with like Brad Pitt. I can fall into that character rabbit hole for sure.
No, Brad Pitt's
but then also like
a
more
fantastic
recently,
actor.
Anya Taylor-Joy definitely falls into like it's Anya Taylor-Joy. It's not the
Yeah.
character, it's her. Like
You know, it's super funny because like I felt that a little bit with Matt Damon in this movie. With Ben Affleck, once again, I'm very biased, but like I was fine with it. The character
Ben Affleck also looked a lot like Phil Knight, low
Did
key,
he?
with like the hair.
Yeah.
Like, with the hair, in a sense, yeah.
That's
Like
fair.
he's what Phil Knight wishes he looked like.
But
Yeah.
the actor in this movie where it was like this is the same person in every movie. It just works in this specific context really
Jason
well.
Bateman.
Jason Bateman. And look,
Yeah.
I like Jason Bateman a lot. If you haven't seen his the movie Joel Edgerton directed, The Gift.
I have not.
Oh, Run Don't Walk. It's Joel Edgerton.
But I have seen Hancock, which means I have seen every Jason Bateman movie.
the thing about The Gift is like the same way I think like this kind of feels like Jason Bateman doing his Arrested Development character, but
That's the only person I know him from.
right. But
And
like
this is him.
it's such
Again,
a
same character.
but it's such a different context that it totally works, right?
Yeah.
The Gift goes that direction with horror. Like Jason Bateman is kind of doing the same thing, but he's in such a different movie, it reads completely differently.
Interesting.
A must watch. One of the most underrated movies of the last 10 years.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. So, do we want to
Grade?
give this movie a grade? I'm giving it an A.
I'll say.
Yeah.
I'll give it an A-, just
Yeah.
for the sake of character recognizability and then also some maybe creative liberties with the actual history of events
Yeah.
of people who are very much still alive.
Yeah.
But, is what it is.
Oh, and two other things. One, I liked how they addressed because there's always been a controversy about those two dudes who came up with the name Air Jordan,
Yep.
Mhm.
and I like how they kind of just like address that within the text, where it's like
Yeah.
these two people arrived at it independently, which is something that happens all the time. Like the Black Sabbath songs Iron Man came
Yeah.
out the same year as the first Iron Man comic, and they kind of sound similar,
That's
but
kind of dope.
there's no way they would have known about each other, like based on like they were released within 2 weeks of each other in a pre-internet world across an ocean, like so yeah, that kind of thing is in there. But yeah, I give it an A. I don't give it an A+ because I don't think it's quite there visually, but I think it does.
It's not perfect.
No,
Yeah.
it's not. But one
movie
other
is.
thing I think was undersold or underrepresented was the importance of Peter Moore. This guy.
Who's Peter Moore, the designer?
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like I thought the whole movie was going to be like designing
design,
shit.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think even though it wasn't, and I knew that kind of going in about how it was like the story of Sonny Vaccaro as like a person working for Nike. I think it was underrepresented because Moore's career is like they didn't really go on to stress the exact like scale of what he did as far as like what it contributed to the brand
They
in his
painted
life.
him
Like
they painted him as like a weird little dude in a basement.
yeah,
Which
they
worked for the
described
movie, but
yeah, they described the fact that he made the shoe. They described the fact that he made the Jumpman logo, but he also made the original Wings logo, the Air Jordan logo that appears on every Jordan 1 on the side. And that also went on to be on the Jordan 2, and then the Jordan 3, and everything after that had the Jumpman. And we talk about like the volume of shoes that were sold based on like the movie like that first year. But you look at the numbers that Jumpman as a brand or Jordan does as a brand today and how everything carries those logos and just like the scale at which this artist's work, this designer's work is out there and being consumed by like people all over the world. And after his career with Nike, he went on to work for Adidas. He designed the Adidas three stripes logo.
Yeah, he designed the mountain logo.
Yeah, the diagonal 3 stripes is him. So like he's had an incredible career, and I think that to kind of relegate him to be like a side character who is kind of like, again, like you said, the weird guy in the basement was a little bit of an unfortunate choice. Because in order to bring on an athlete like Jordan, you had to have a team firing on all cylinders, and design was one of those elements for sure.
Yeah, and like I think that's a lot more of a valid complaint. The only thing is that like if you blow out that role, then it's like, well, either one, you're making a completely different movie because this movie's
Sure.
very much about like courting the legend. So you have to think of it like when you're making a movie, you have to think like I have so many minutes. Where do I put them?
Yeah,
And it's
but
like
the fact that this is a sub 2 hour movie, I think you could make the argument that if you spend an extra 15 on Peter Moore's design process or whatever the hell else they're going to do with it,
and that's
valid,
why
right?
I think that, and that's why I think it's valid. I think like if you think that could be accomplished in 10, 15 minutes, okay, that's a conversation. That's absolutely a valid point.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, and I just think like, you know, you think about how this movie is, you know, constructed and made. And
Mhm.
like, I think like that decision ultimately makes sense. But once again, I think that's a valid point.
Yeah, and they could have even done it in the sub, like the final
Yeah,
the
they could
final
have done
moments where
more.
they do like the text. Like they could have talked about the fact that the Jordan 1 went on to become like this, you know, shoe embraced by all these different athletic communities for its own purposes. Like the fact that it was taken in as a skating shoe in like the 90s and the 2000s because of its platform, and then has become like this lifestyle icon for a new generation. And like all this stuff that they just didn't
Yeah.
really touch on. They just kept it focused on like that moment in time.
Yeah, I just think that that was the goal.
Yeah.
I don't
Although
think they want to talk about the shoe.
The fact that they show Jordan talking about his mother later and like the influence she had on him is really cool. It's just too bad that given that like they say like, oh, it appears on every Jordan product now, it's like, well, you could have given us a little more detail about the now with that being said.
Yeah. Oof.
For sure.
All right.
Recommendations?
Let's do recommendations. Who wants to go first?
Not me. I gotta pull them up.
I would
I'll do my.
I would like to go last because my final one's going to be a little ranty. I'm sorry.
Oh Lord. Okay. Well, my first one, we kind of touched on it last week. First one be Mississippi Queen. Absolutely phenomenal song.
Wow, fantastic! One of the best guitar
No
riffs
flaws.
ever.
Perfect. Instantly recognized.
Now I gotta tell you, man, I'm a huge sucker for Southern rock. I'm not a big country music listener, but I love some good old fashioned Southern rock. And I think this is just like that to a T.
It's the definition.
Yeah. Jazzer, you're pulled up?
Yes, I have one for you. This one is called Good Day by D Baby, not Da Baby, DeeBaby, all one word.
What's it called?
Good Day.
Is it about a good day?
One would assume.
Is it as good as Ice Cube's Good Day?
No, today was not that good. Today was not that good of a day.
He didn't
I
even
was gonna
have
say
to,
that's
he did not even have to use his AK.
Yeah.
Looked up.
All right.
Goodyear Blimp says Ice Cube's a pimp.
Yeah.
I'm recommending that song now. No, I'm kidding. Also, I just want to say we talked about Air. It took all of my being to not recommend Sister Christian.
Okay.
Yeah. Motorin. All right. So my first one, the second song I'm going to recommend is a rock song. So I was like, okay, let me get a song that has 2 songs worth of rapping in it. So I'm recommending 6 Foot, 7 Foot by Lil Wayne.
Oh my God.
Nice.
Yeah. Dude, that song, the DJ pulled it up, and I was like, yes! 6 foot, 7
Let's
foot,
go.
8 foot. Excuse my charisma. Vodka with a spritzer. Swagger
Just
down
start
pat.
going off.
All that shit, Patricia. Young
Is
Money
that the one-
Militia.
Shut up. I hate you
I'm
so
done.
much.
I can't do it anymore.
Is that the one with Teddy Fuck Madonna is over and over?
Yeah. I think
Nice.
so. But hoes
Alright,
gonna be
Jasper.
hoes, and I couldn't blame Sandy.
Oh, actually, no, it's me. Sorry.
Yeah, too.
I'm gonna do an unreleased track by Kendrick Lamar. You can find it on SoundCloud. I've been trying to give at least one SoundCloud song a week. I'm gonna do Hooligan. Absolutely slaps. I feel like every
Send
single
that to me.
song,
I've never heard it. You have to send it to me right now.
every single song this man makes, even if it's half complete, it's just better than your favorite artist.
Yeah.
All right, Jasper.
All right. Brandon, this one's just for you because
Oh my
you've
God.
never listened to All Heroes, Not All Heroes Wear Capes. We're doing Overdue. Metro Boomin and Travis Scott.
Is this a subtweet? Like,
Pretty much.
yeah. No,
Might as
you
well be.
No, you tagged me in it.
Good at Brandon. Good song though.
Yeah.
Very good.
Very good song.
I don't
Whole
doubt it.
album's-
I like Metro Boomin a lot. Like Metro Boomin's great. Like, okay, so my last one, it's gonna be a little ranty because like the DJ served me this song, and I went back. I listened to the entire album like 4 times this week.
Jesus.
Okay.
So, and Purvis, I really want you to listen
boy.
to this song. Well,
Okay.
no, I think you're gonna like it. The song I'm
Okay.
recommending is called "Why Don't You Get a Job" by The Offspring.
You've done this
Okay.
before.
No, I recommended a
Have you?
different song by The Offspring called "Gone Away."
Okay.
Yes, this one is off their 1998 album "Americana,"
Yep.
which is a incredibly well-aged concept album.
Okay.
And the song,
That's my thing.
dude,
This is,
I hate.
this is the album that has "Pretty Fly for a White Guy" on it.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
Now, like, look, here's the thing, right? I mentioned this to Jasper when we hung out. I was like, look, some things they age unevenly, you know? I think this, believe it or not, I think in the context of the album, I think Pretty Fly for a White Guy is actually kind of holds up because the album is very much about like the societal decay among the youth in the late 90s. And Pretty Fly for a White Guy is pretty clearly like, isn't it fucked up that a bunch of white people are just stealing black culture? It's just a valid emotion expressed very immaturely. But this song, Purvis, type this song in. I want you to listen to the first 3 seconds right now.
Okay.
And I
Here we
want
go.
your reaction.
Why don't you get a job?
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta turn it up.
Did you hear?
Why do I know this song?
Yeah, it's like it's one of those songs everyone knows. Right? And like I think like I just think this album holds up. Look, it's nowhere near as good, but it reminds me a lot of Good Kid Mad City. Just like it really is like Good Kid Mad City for the suburbs of the late 90s.
Oh,
That is a claim.
that is a bold.
I don't even
good
know how to
thing say.
respond to that.
And let's go listen to the album and then you can respond. You can tell me I'm full of shit when you listen to the
No,
album.
I don't think you're full of shit. I just think that equating
Anything.
that any experience that is had in the suburbs is just like, oh.
I don't know, man. I don't know. There's a song about like the increase in like drug addiction, which is very
Yeah.
much like a suburban thing. There's
Yeah,
a song
for
about
sure.
like mental health issues and dating. There's one song that like I unabashedly love, but it definitely does not age well. It's called Walla Walla. And
Yep.
it's basically about like it's like being happy that your degenerate friend is going to jail. It's like, no, this is your 4th VCR you stole. You are going to go to jail now. Like
It's time to stop.
So like look, I'm not saying it's as good of an album, but in terms of like a up close view and like a very specific perspective on like society and like a very clear concept, it
Yeah.
really, really holds up. Purvis, it's 45 minutes. And the other thing is that it's not metal. This is like pop punk. You know,
Yeah.
this is
That's
closer.
like-
Yeah. And I think the title track is one of my favorite punk songs of all time. Yeah, no, that's my recommendation.
All right, bet.
Yeah. Oh, and the best part is like right when you think "Why Don't You Get a Job" is getting a little misogynistic, they switch
It
up the
gets worse.
no, they switch up the gender. Like
Oh,
they
okay,
literally
love
say like, "Now let's talk about the other friend," and then it's like, "My friend has a boyfriend and she hates that dick." Like, and then they just like switch it up, like.
But
So, and that's the other thing is that like, it's nice listening to an album from the '90s and being like, "Oh, there's like no slurs in here that are no longer in vogue." Like.
it is rare to find that.
That's a nice feeling. Like,
I feel like the early 2000s had that problem a little more than the 90s because I feel
You
like
know
things
what?
got edgier going in.
I definitely agree because like Nirvana like definitely set a precedent for like that shit is not tolerated, and you
yeah,
can definitely
and you don't need it to make good music.
No, you definitely don't.
Yeah, I feel like the early 2000s really brought in a lot of that shit. There was so much shock value in like Will Smith
yeah.
don't gotta cuss in his raps to sell records. Well, I do, so fuck him and fuck you too.
Well,
that whole thing.
that's exactly like who started it. Like, and like, you don't think Eminem played a huge factor in that?
No, he did for sure, but I don't think he's because so Slim Shady LP was 98, right? And then
I don't know exactly which year. I actually thought it was like 95.
no, it's not that early.
Once again, like if it's 98, that totally is valid. But not Slime Shady LP. 99, actually. Yeah, wow.
Because Infinite was 98. Infinite
Yeah.
was 98. 99. Then it was 2001,
Yeah.
I think. Or no, 2000. But yeah, I was just like, I don't know, because like he wasn't at critical mass yet.
Yeah.
I feel like there were other people in that same vein. I don't know. It's
Yeah. Well, it also came from a bunch of different angles. I think nu metal had a lot of that too. But
Yeah.
like you think like Limp Bizkit, absolutely covered in that. Like covered
Yeah.
in like that fake edginess that just like was very in vogue in the late 2000s.
I think Kid Rock was also in
Kid
that
Rock. But then
same
like
scene.
someone like Korn, I don't think edgy aesthetically for sure, but not
Sure.
lyrically. You
Yeah,
know,
that
not
makes sense.
in that
Yeah.
in that sense. You know what I mean?
Green Day had a little bit,
A little bit, yeah, not
but
as
not
much.
to the same.
Not to the
yeah.
same extent, and especially not in the 2000s.
Yeah.
You know, like
Definitely early 90s.
early
like,
90s.
Mid 90s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like, boy, talk about a career that ebbed and flowed. Like,
Yeah. We remember Green Day during the Obama era as much as we wish we
oh my
didn't.
God. I Green Day closed Lollapalooza last year, and I saw Denzel Curry instead. And American Idiot was the first album I ever bought.
I would have gone to Green Day.
Yeah. No,
I'm not gonna lie.
I wasn't gonna miss the artist who put out my favorite album of the year to see an
That's
artist
fair.
who
That's
hadn't put
fair.
out a good album since George Bush was in office.
Hey, I like Revolution Radio.
Then I would talk to a
There are
therapist.
dozens of us.
I would go to therapy. Like,
No,
This is-
I feel like it's got some solid songs.
yeah, maybe
It could have
one
been
or
a lot
two, yeah.
worse. It could have been a lot worse.
It's no Longview. It's no Nimrod.
No, it's not. But
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be. It's character development. They don't have to make the same song every time. They don't have to be AC/DC.
Yes, you're right. It doesn't have to be the same song every time, but it should be good every time, and that's my point. Like,
I feel like I think there's only like 2 songs on there that I would say I don't think are good. I think others are like okay.
I mean, I just bounced off that one because like 21st Century Breakdown, I felt was like, oh, this is American Idiot, but worse. And once I heard like Uno, Do, no, Dep, done.
I didn't. No, yeah. I mean, this one is I think
I
a
heard-
breath of fresh air from that for sure.
I listened to, and the other one, their most recent one, like the Father of
heard it.
All,
I haven't listened.
awful.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, it's maybe look. I would not doubt Revolution Radio is the best album they made, but since American Idiot,
It's the first thing they made when Trump got in office. They need a Republican president to rage against in order to make good music.
yeah. Well,
Funny how that worked out.
we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I'm gonna go to bed. I'm just gonna go right there.
Until next week.
Until next week. We got
Same
fun.
bad time.
We got
Same bad channel.
I love that. Same unpaid time. Same.
Same free public access channel.
Yeah.
The 3 nobodies.
It's pirate
city
radio, and the truth will not be silenced. Like,
podcast. The podcast.
I'm Christian Slater from that movie.
All right.